Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from Percy'sGrowroom.com. I am Macky from the UK, and joining us this week, we have Margaret.
Hello, everyone. It's Margaret coming at you from Ontario, Canada, host of Bite Me the Show about edibles, and also the owner of 4 brand new winter tires. Very excited.
Nice. That's an achievement. I know that. I did that last week. I only got 2 tires, though. I'm not so
Oh,
flush with
God.
the
Yeah, I
cash
didn't
as
want to
you
do
there,
it.
Margaret. Yeah, expensive, but it has to be done
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
We
When
also
you say
have... Sorry,
sorry, when you say winter tires, are they the ones with spikes on?
No, we don't do studded tires here.
Oh, boo.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, and we
Obviously,
don't have any
we have
snow
pretty
yet,
blondes there,
so
everybody.
Hi.
Hi. It was going so fucking smooth,
it was going really well.
Gosh. It always goes well until we get to Billy. What's going on, Billy?
Yeah, man, not too bad. Cold and wintry here and stormy and everything in Cornwall. So yeah, it's good.
Boo. Yeah, man. And we also have a special guest today. We have Brian. How's it going, Brian?
Hey guys, just excited to have to be back on the show. And recently, I also bought some winter tires, so I'm right there with you, Mark.
Congratulations.
Damn.
That shit is expensive.
Yeah, man. I should have
I
bought fucking
know.
shares in tires. Never mind tires. What the fuck is this? Gosh. Anybody let us know out there if you bought any shares in tires recently? Because this seems to be like a good time of year to do it. Expensive.
Tis the season. Tis the season.
Tis the season. Christmas coming. Buy some tires. Indeed. Yeah, here we are for some cannabis news and events. And of course, we have the grow guides later on as well. With the grow guides, we're going to be talking about how to tell when your cannabis plant is ready for harvest. That's the plan, because, that's about where we are with the whole process right now with episode 21. With the news articles, we have 5 news articles to cover for sure, but then we've left some options in the poll on the YouTube chat there where you can all select what the last news article we're going to cover is. So take a look at those in the chat and make a vote, and then when we get to the end of the 5 articles that we already have, then we'll choose the one which you guys have picked and we'll cover that last. Just a little bit of audience participation there, so get involved, man, and make sure you have your voices heard in the chat there in the poll. But that's about everything. What are we smoking on? What you got? You got something nice, Brian?
Yeah, I do. I have some live rosin. This is Jet Dog OG from Live Well here in Denver.
Okay.
It's white as the Christmas snow.
Okay, you get it from dispensary.
I've had to these last 2 times because unfortunately some of my friends their grows weren't as good this year. So I had smoked some BHO last week, and I was like, oh hell no. So
wow.
I went. I don't know if you guys have smoked BHO after live rosin, and there's a dramatic difference.
Yeah, it's just not the same. You taste the butane in it still, or what?
Yeah, and even my wife noticed that I started wheezing when I was like,
oh damn,
late at night.
That's not good.
And that was only about maybe week and a half.
Damn.
Smoking it. So yes, off the BHO and back to the solvent list.
Nice. That's the way to do it nowadays, isn't it? The solventless is the way forward, man.
Yeah.
The BHO was good when that's all we had,
Well, we used to blast that in the backyard, and I'll never forget that we had a friend that was smoking a cigarette about 20 feet away from us. So we weren't exactly the smartest guys around.
Scary.
Could
have been an exciting day.
Thinking back, it's like, what the hell?
It's not the only stupid things we do as kids, though, is it? There's other things to add to that list. Gosh. Yeah. What have you got, Margaret? You got something nice?
I have edibles as per the usual, but I do have my vaporizer with little dirty taxi in it.
Okay. Yeah, I like that name. It's a good name.
Yeah, it smells great.
Sweet. What you got, Billy? You got some nice hash this week?
Yep, I made some fresh today, so lovely. I've also got some killer skunk cross with cherry palms.
Oh, nice.
So, which is pretty nice.
Nice. I got a small little joint of whatever it is that I smoke. I can't remember what the fucking name of it is now. I've just been smoking it for a while. But
Same
I've decided
old shit.
I'm just gonna same old shitweed. But it's not shitweed, it's fucking that's why it's a small joint, because it's not shitweed.
It's not boof.
It's very strong, and it just knocks the fuck out of me. So yeah, just a small joint is fine. Don't need to be rolling these long ones anymore, because I've noticed that I roll these long joints and they last for like 5-6 days, and by the time maybe even a week sometimes, but by the time it gets to the end, it's not tasting great. And I was thinking the other day, what kind of carcinogens are building up in this? It just sits there for a week. Maybe I should roll smaller ones to keep it fresh. So that's the plan.
Good idea.
Yeah, indeed. And what's everybody smoking on in the chat there? Let us know what you've got, everybody. Yeah, we've just about covered everything there. We should talk about what news articles we're going to be covering in this show. Let me just get the list up here so everybody can see what we have. We have Texas lawmaker files cannabis legalization bill. And this was sent in by a listener, Grumpus. Shout out to Grumpus there. Thanks for sending in the article, man. So, yes, something going on in Texas regarding cannabis legislation. Who would have ever thunk it? We're going to have a closer look at that when we get to the article in a little bit. We have some YouTuber, this is like, remember that movie, is it How High? I think it's How High. YouTuber Rosanna Pansino smokes cannabis grown from her father's ashes. Interesting. Would you do that? Would you want other people to use your ashes in their grow mediums so you could become cannabis in some way to be smoked? Let us know what you think. Would you do that? Would you guys do that? What do you think? Brian, what are you saying? Would you want your ashes to be smoked like that? Well, to use something to grow and then smoke the weed.
Man, I've heard some people doing that and stuff. I don't know. I grew up in Savannah, Georgia, and that is one of the most haunted places you can you can if you don't agree with any of that world, then I would just say, like, walk down Abercorn Street at 2 a.m. and tell me that you don't believe in ghosts anymore. But I think there's something to, like, the dead, respecting the dead. I'll even point to, like, even in hip hop culture recently, everybody was disrespecting the dead and everybody's getting caught up in stuff. For whatever reason, I think when you play with that kind of stuff, Ouija boards and all the stuff they did in Savannah, I think that it causes negative things in your life. And so I would never want to do that or have anybody do that to me.
That is not just no, that's a strong no from Brian there. What about you, Billy? Would you go for that?
Me?
Yeah, would you do it? Would you want your ashes like to be put into soil and used as grow medium or something?
Yes and no. If you know what I mean. But I done a story, didn't I, a few weeks back, or said about the
composting them.
Yeah. So that's what I think she would have done. So yeah, you're not really smoking the ashes, are you? You're actually smoking weed grown in some compost, which had your ashes in. So it's not really smoking you. You're smoking weed still. Do you know what I mean?
What about you, Margaret? Would you do it?
Also, just a point, it would be with his wishes because that's what he obviously wanted. So obviously it's going with the grain. So it's not like she's disrespecting the dead. So it's, to her, it's a connection, a spiritual connection. So possibly, yeah.
What about you, Margaret? What's your verdict on that one?
Honestly, I'll be dead. What do I care?
That's what I think.
If somebody wants to use my ashes to help their plants grow, then ashes to ashes, dust to dust, or whatever. Sure.
Smoke to smoke. Well,
that would be what nutrients would our ashes have in it?
I didn't think it was good for soil
carbon or something. I don't know. It'd be the same as using like normal ash, essentially, wouldn't it? Some people would use
I suppose
ash. Well,
just
interesting
carbon,
one. We'll cover that more when we get to that news article there. We also have a wave of rejections for aspiring Minnesota cannabis entrepreneurs. A shitload of licenses got rejected or something in Minnesota, which is interesting. We're going to cover that when we get there. We have a couple of news articles here from Margaret where we have alcohol use found to be a major factor in cannabis vaping among young youth and young adults. And also, using cannabis is tied to lower consumption of alcohol and opioids. So yes, lots to cover today. And of course, we got one of those articles in the poll there in the chat where you can choose one of those ones, which we should cover at the end of the show as well. So pick which one you want us to cover. Lots of news, and it's going to be good grow guides as well. So yeah, I think with that, I think we're just about ready to move on. Is there anything else to add before we move on to the news here?
I don't think so.
No.
That sounds like a resounding no. Let's do the news. So which one shall we do first? I was thinking because you have 2 news articles this week, Margaret. Do you want to start with one of your ones?
Sure.
Which one you want to do? You take your pick, eh?
Let's start with using marijuana is tied to lower consumption of alcohol, opioids, and other drugs. New study reveals.
Let's do it.
Yes. So this one's from Marijuana Moment. And a new study on the impact of cannabis consumption on people's use of other drugs suggests that for many, cannabis may act as a less dangerous substitute, allowing people to reduce their intake of substances such as alcohol, methamphetamine, and opioids like morphine. The survey of 23,500 people in New Zealand asked participants about whether their cannabis had any influence on their consumption of other substances. For the most part, it found that cannabis use was associated with reduced frequency and quantity of use of other certain substances. Significant proportions reported cannabis use led to less alcohol, 60%, synthetic cannabinoids, 60%, morphine, 44%, methamphetamine, 40% use, the new study says, the new report says. Those who reported using less had lower frequency and amount used of other drugs. That said, results vary by substance as well as demographics. Nearly 70% of people said cannabis had no impact on LSD, MDMA, or cocaine use, for example. 1/3 of cannabis and tobacco co-users reported using less tobacco, while an even smaller majority of respondents, 1 in 5, reported that using cannabis actually led to more tobacco use. Substituting cannabis for other drugs also appears more popular among young adults, aged 21 to 35, who are more likely than other groups report that cannabis lowered their consumption of alcohol and methamphetamine. Students and people living in cities, meanwhile, were less likely to say that marijuana use reduced their use of other drugs. The use of cannabis by adolescents, 16 to 20-year-olds, meanwhile, had mixed results, with that cohort being both more likely to report cannabis use, resulting in more and less other substance use compared to having no impact. I feel like I have to read that sentence again. I'm not sure I understand what it just said. That cohort being both more likely to report cannabis use, resulting in more and less other substance use compared to having no impact. Oh, okay. So that was really
Well,
varied.
did that make sense to you the second time round? It still didn't work for me.
I think they're just saying young adults, age 21 to 25, by contrast, were more likely to say cannabis use resulted in lower use of alcohol, methamphetamine, and MDMA. I think they were saying the teenagers, like some of them were saying yes, it resulted in less substance use, and other 16 to 20-year-olds, it resulted in actually more substance use of other drugs. So they were kind of an anomaly, but they're also not of legal age and all that stuff. They probably shouldn't be doing drugs anyway. So the results contribute to what is still a mixed picture in terms of whether and to what extent people are using cannabis as a substitute for other drugs, the authors noted. For example, they note a study of US college students found that following cannabis legalization, there was a reduction in binge drinking alcohol among students aged 21 and older, but not among younger students. While at the same time, other studies of US college students have found no impact on other drug use. Similarly, conflicting outcomes have been seen in jurisdictions that have legalized cannabis. The study points out, for instance, it says monthly purchases of alcohol, specifically wine, declined in Colorado and Washington state after legalization of cannabis, while purchases of spirits increased in Washington state, but decreased in Oregon after cannabis legalization. Another study found Canada-wide monthly beer sales dropped after cannabis legalization, but there is no change in spirit sales. In contrast, other studies of US legalization states found cannabis legalization resulted in no change in alcohol purchase and use. Venturing to explain the association, authors note that when it comes to drinking, the substitution of legal cannabis for alcohol may reflect the similar neurological effects of each substance, similar social acceptability among younger people, and comparable price, adding that some studies of college students have found that some are motivated to use cannabis as a means to reduce their alcohol consumption and related negative outcomes. And the study actually, this article actually goes on for quite a bit longer, but I thought it was kind of interesting just because, you know, there's that, when people talk about being Cali sober.
Yeah. It's interesting as well to see, we've seen it in all these different places that legalize cannabis. when it is legalized, the youth don't want to use it as much. There seems to be a fall in cannabis use amongst young people as well.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of saying that there's a rise in use amongst young people, like teenagers, and then a drop as they get older.
Right.
Well, you didn't feel like the cool kid smoking weed in high school?
Of course I did.
Right. So if it's legal, it's not really cool
Yeah.
anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. If it's just your grandmother's medicine, it's not really cool. You know, it's
Unless
not
you're
the same.
sneaking it from someone's stash, and then it's cool again.
Mm-mm. There's something
Just
that we
like when you're
discussed.
sneaking alcohol out of the liquor cabinet.
Mm-hmm. But it's something that we discussed before as well. Is like having flower versus vaping cannabis. That's a thing as well, because when you're vaping it, it doesn't smell like the way it does when you smoke cannabis. So kids are doing that because they're less likely to be found out when they're doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting too, though, because obviously, like a lot of people talk about using cannabis as a harm reduction tool for people who are using like alcohol in higher levels, I suppose, or methamphetamines or other street drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was somebody who was on down like Vancouver, like the area where a lot of the drug users are in Vancouver, and they were handing out like really strong edibles to some of the drug users because those users found that it really helped them sort of use less of the street drugs
Mm-hmm.
when they had access to high dose edibles.
Mm-hmm.
So it can become a harm reduction tool for people.
Yeah, I think it definitely works for that as well. You know, because
Mhm.
there's loads of people who are using those hard drugs and then they'll use cannabis to help them get off that. And it's
Mhm.
much safer as well, and using cannabis instead of all these heavy opioids and even alcohol. Cannabis is the safer option out of all of those. So if you can use that instead
Absolutely.
of them more harsher drugs, then
Especially
it's
if
the better
you're
way to
if
go.
it's street drugs that they're talking about. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they don't really
Mm-hmm.
differentiate between like pharmaceuticals or street drugs, but obviously street drugs, you don't always know what you're consuming,
Mm-hmm.
what's in those drugs. So cannabis is 100% safer in
Yeah,
most
man.
situations.
What are you saying about this, Billy? You haven't said much in the background there.
Yeah, no, I've just been listening, but I was thinking the alcohol use, like over say like a period of 2 years, like especially like college students, I suppose, like the 18 to 21 sort of group, they're experimenting with alcohol, but a lot of them during that 2 year period would have got into some very horrible situations, if you know what I mean, dangerous situations, and they would have realized that alcohol is actually excessive use is a danger to them, whereas cannabis isn't. So I
Yeah,
think
good point.
that natural realization of I want to stay alive and I don't want to die from alcohol overdose. I don't want to be raped, killed, drink driving, and another long list of weird shit going on with alcohol use. If you know what I mean, where cannabis use on top of that sort of negates then the alcohol use because you're like, I want to rein in my alcohol use. How do I do that? Well, then I use probably a bit more MDMA and some mushrooms maybe, and then cannabis comes along with that as well because obviously they're experimenting with drugs. I just think because of the dangers that come with alcohol, go to 5 or 6 excessive drinking parties and you've been near death 3 of them and nearly raped twice sort of, so you're gonna not drink on the 6th one, aren't you? You're gonna think, oh, hang on, I think I'm gonna have 2 drinks and smoke weed now.
Yeah.
So like
Well,
just that natural balance there, I think
I've
kicks in.
experimented with lots of different drugs.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's always been great times. I've always had fun times. But the only time where I've really ever had a bad time is when I got really, really drunk. And it just baffles me how that shit's the legal one. Out of all of those drugs, out of MDMA, cocaine, all of these different drugs, it baffles me that alcohol is the actual legal one. Because that's the one that will fuck you up more than anything, man. That shit's terrible. In my
that's why
opinion.
they keep it legal. They want their subjects to be fucked and in fear. They don't want us to be happy, healthy subjects.
Yeah, it's one of those conversations to be had, isn't it? You know, how far do you go with legalization of drugs? Do you make it all legal? Do you just make cannabis legal? It's a tough one. Good discussion though. For any kind of reduction of these heavier drugs, I think is a good thing. I think people should use them responsibly and shouldn't use them excessively. You know, use them to have a good time, but don't abuse them. So if cannabis is helping people do that, then it's a good thing, right?
Definitely.
Yes.
Always is.
Yeah. Right. Let's go on to another one. What should we do next? Brian, you want to cover your article next?
Yeah, sorry. Wave of rejections for aspiring Minnesota cannabis entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm newer to how some of these states operate, but as you guys will see, there's a reason why we always say it's the hoodie versus the suits, and this is just kind of another example of that. So, with the lottery looming, a local pot attorney says litigation is the only course left, those is in quotation marks, for some clients who were turned away from a shot at Minnesota's social equity program. Minnesota's new Office of Cannabis Management dramatically shrank the first pool of contenders for cannabis business licenses this week, sending rejection notices to 1,169 of the 1,817 applicants. Convenient, huh? Hoping to benefit from a social equity program. Social equity licenses are intended to help people negatively impacted by cannabis prohibition, veterans, and those living in high poverty areas that compete with better funded entrepreneurs to enter the state's fledgling adult use marijuana market. For more than half of applicants hoping to enter the lottery were from out of state, but the rejection notices were met with disbelief and anger by some Minnesota applicants. Adena-based cannabis attorney Carl Moss said her firm advised about 15 clients who applied to enter the upcoming license lottery. Half were rejected, she said. Here's another quotation. The most frustrating thing with all of this is that I have not reviewed one application that is substantially problematic. We're talking clerical errors that are causing applicants to get rejected, ones that would take 5 minutes to fix. And in fairness, when we were trying to get this stuff in Oklahoma, I mean, it has to be that way. Like your team has to have everything, everything has to be prepared correctly. So I think that's on both sides there. You got to know your opposition when you're doing this kind of stuff, because they're gonna want
that it's a lottery, isn't it? I mean, how does that work? They all pay some kind of administration fee, and then they spin a wheel, and it goes out to whoever lands. What the fuck goes on there?
Yeah, literally. There's only a limited amount of licenses they can give out, so you'd be put in a bracket. Whereas, like if you've been affected by cannabis, like you was imprisoned before or something, or you're part of a program, then you'd be given so many people get them licenses. You'd be first out in the lottery list. Then you've got second tier and third tier. It's like just like a normal draw, really, like a lottery draw, literally, and it's just bullshit, isn't it? Why aren't everyone given a license, and then it's whoever has the best business then wins? Simples.
Yeah.
Well, to me, when we see this kind of stuff, it's so they shrink the pool down to the applicants that do pass, right? Because of the way that the lottery system works. So if you got 100 people, yet 25 of them are supposedly like on your team, on your side kind of thing. Well, you just greatly improve the odds of a couple of those people being picked. And I think that's kind of the same kind of stuff that we see when they say that these lottery things are trying to help the unfortunate. It's for newspaper headlines, and then if you go into the details, it never works out that way.
Are you saying it's rigged lottery there?
I'm saying
allegedly, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
What I learned, I was on the board. I was with Denver Normal on the board of Denver Normal, right? And what I learned from this kind of stuff, especially when it comes from cannabis, is that even maybe the first year, 2 years, right? They say a lot of good things are going to come from legalization of cannabis. All this money is going to go to schools. That might happen for the first year, maybe 2 years, but after that, people stop paying attention. And so what they start to do is they allocate that money to different things. And so that's what's unfortunate about this when it's underprivileged, just people in general of all colors, is that you still get shafted because you don't have enough money to build. Most people aren't going to have enough money for the license, let alone the money and the lawyers and all of the stuff to actually build an establishment to grow legal cannabis. So that's why I love supporting the high on homegrown. Other people are just big on growing their own medicine because it's almost like the last little fuck you that you can give to the man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, the man.
All right, so just a little bit left on this. In a prepared statement, Interim OCM Director Charles Brenner said the agency knows those who fail the application review will be disappointed. Shit. However, we are confident that we will have a robust pool of qualified applicants to enter the lottery. Qualified applicants means rich people. and that those
Yeah.
selected
Mm-hmm.
will be well positioned to continue the next steps to opening their businesses. The OCM said reasons for the denials included failure by applicants to meet qualifying standards, submit proper documentation, or meet ownership requirements, as well as flooding the zone with multiple applications to game the system. Hundreds of applications listed addresses in Arizona and California. 29 applications came from a small town in Arkansas called Eudora. The initial batch of 282 social equity business licenses will be awarded by lottery, expected by the end of the year. So we'll see.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what the rules of the lottery are and if they are actually crooked. You know, I just feel as if you should be skeptical of these things, man. You know, is there thumb on the scale? You know what I mean?
Of course it is,
Yeah, it has to
allegedly.
be. It has
Just
to be.
just to
Of
be
course, it is
an
allegedly.
just an added note to this. Some of the people who've been rejected have taken up lawyers and then are taking the OCM to court over the rejections as well. They're going to be appealing it. So I think they want to try and change how it's done because obviously it's rigged, allegedly. So it may delay the lottery again because they've got to go to court to then sort out this shit first, and then the lottery can be done.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, I
So
wonder how many people are actually applying for this as well, and what kind of percentage have you got of getting an actual license?
They did say, but it's like there's 1,800 applications and only like 597 or something licenses available, or
Right.
like something. So it's quite a good third or something like can only get taken in or something. So, but even still, no matter what, why can't they just give all the licenses? Yeah, all have a license. There you go.
Yeah, you know, off you
Done.
go. Capitalism.
Off you
Do your
go.
thing.
Capitalism. Do
Free
your thing.
market.
Yeah.
Off you go.
That's it.
You know,
Winner takes all. There you go.
if you're
Losers
shit,
die
you
out.
won't survive.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Simple as
Business
Well,
is a
that doesn't
gam.
sound fair.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, because it probably isn't fair as well. Because there's going to be people who have got shitloads of money out there who can, pay all of these bills and
It is fair in a
advertise
way because if you can grow quality weed and you've got a brain, then you can find your niche to earn yourself a decent living out of it. Do you know what I mean?
I would say it's fairer
Yeah,
than
I
the
agree
government's
with
going to do because they're crooks. You know.
And yeah, and then the ones that grow shit weed will be found out in the end because people will be connoisseurs in the end. So it's we need the free market for the connoisseurs to then break through and then be employed by the bigger people as well, because that's the bigger people who slowly swallow up some of the connoisseurs. But that's what happens. But we still get good quality stuff at the end of the day. So
Yeah, John
that's really
Colson
what
in the
it's
chat
about.
said they are down from 1,800 applicants to 680. Yeah, only 200 plus actual licenses for the lottery. Damn, so
Oh,
you're
there you
about
go.
1 in 3 chance
Shit,
hitting
innit?
that. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Bad, innit? Yeah.
But, many of them may not survive as well. Like, they might get the license, do it for a year, and be like, oh, this isn't working out. And then I suppose those licenses will become available. Or I think we've seen that before. What states did that, where licenses were awarded to people and then they just sell the licenses? Is that in Canada, Margaret?
Where they did what?
Where people with licenses, for like a legal license to open up a dispensary, for example, they didn't want to do it anymore, so they just sold off their license. Do you know anything
Well,
about that?
I don't know if that happened here. I do know,
Right.
like in the retail licenses, they had like a lottery thing, and then there's only so many people that could apply for it, and then they moved the limit, and now there's like a weed shop on every corner. So
You saying there,
yeah.
Brian?
You're thinking of Oklahoma.
Is that what it was?
That was definitely happening in Oklahoma, and the Oklahoma meds, the like overseer of that, they basically set it up and made it sound like, hey, it is about capitalism, so everybody can come. The licensing fees and stuff like that are $1,500 and $500 and all this kind of stuff instead of it starting off at $10,000. So all these little mom and pop shops that maybe had $50,000 to their name started to get into the cannabis space and had no idea that doesn't include all the other things, how much lights and all this stuff costs. So they basically ran out of money, and the state got to get all of these bright-eyed, bushy-tailed cannabis farmers to sign up for this kind of stuff, take all of that licensing money, knowing that these people didn't have enough money to actually operate a facility. So kind of like in the early days when they would, I guess it was like 2008, where they would loan you a home. you could be working at like you know, a very low end job and get a $300,000 loan for a home. I feel like that's what was going on in Oklahoma with these licenses.
Right.
You know, you need, and it's sad, man, because a lot of those people lost their you know, 50 grand was their life savings.
Yeah. Damn, man. But that's a gamble you play. It's a lottery, you know. At the end of the day, that's gambling.
Yeah, that's to me, that's pure gambling going against the house.
Yeah.
You should learn how to set up a business properly, then, shouldn't you? Really, to be honest.
Some people learn the hard way, unfortunately.
Yeah, if unfortunately, but that's what business is, isn't it? That's what capitalism is. And then eventually, you get the good ones that you then service the people.
Yeah.
It's limiting it, which is what's causing us the issue, isn't it? Really.
So we'll find out what happens with this. What goes on in Minnesota, you know, as the lottery takes place, and you know, we'll keep you all updated on what happens as we move forward. But you want to cover this one here, Billy, about the these guys. It's your article, isn't it, Billy, about the guys smoking ashes and shit, well, smoking plants grown from ashes.
Yeah, she's a YouTuber, basically, a baking influencer, apparently.
Oh, like Margaret in some way.
Yeah.
A bacon? Baking. I heard
Yeah,
bacon.
A baking, yeah.
I'd watch the bacon influencer. I need to see that.
Bacon in ashes.
Is that a thing?
So basically, her father used to star in episodes of her podcasts and stuff like that.
All
right. What appeared to be an attention-grabbing stunt, a social media star with more than 14.6 million followers.
Jesus. That's
So
more than
not,
us.
yeah, not 15 million, 14.6 million.
Oh, we're getting accurate again.
Yeah, getting accurate again. Yeah, was intended to be a serious examination of grief and its effects on loved ones. She insisted during the 54-minute episode of her podcast. She titled the opening episode "Smoking My Dead Dad." Quite catchy there, "Smoking My Dead Dad." Yeah, it's bound to attract a few people in on the clickbaiters, isn't it?
Yeah, people are like, what the fuck is this? You know.
Yeah, so the blunt she smoked was delicious. It tasted so good, they said. Whose real name is Rosanna Reardon, her name is. So there you go. Declared after taking several hits of the joint, the first of which prompted a lengthy fit of coughing. Traditional there. So her father appeared in many of her baking.
Coughing.
Yeah.
Coughing. You see what I did there?
Coughing. No pun intended.
Sorry.
That's all right. So he appeared in many baking videos. He was known as Papa Pizza. So he died in December 2019 after a long battle with leukemia. So his sister joined her on camera to toast his memory with the remnants of a bottle of whiskey he brewed.
Nice.
So there you go. So they're sort of celebrating his death with a whiskey he brewed and a joint made from grown in his ashes. So that's sort of quite nice, touching, really family thing. They seem to enjoy it. So
everybody grieves in their own way, man. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So before he passed, he told me and Mum what he would like us to do with his ashes. And at first, my mum was a bit hesitant. She thought this is kind of hippie people are going to judge us. But the time's gone on, we really think that it's the right time to do what Dad wanted and honour him the way he wanted.
Yeah, fuck what people think. Jesus.
Yeah. So, it's all right. That's what she basically thought. Yeah, so losing Dad just because he was one of my best friends, it was just different. I thought over time sadness would fade, but the grief is always with me. It feels like it's permanently attached to me, which it is. You just learn how to live with it. You don't ever disappear. You just learn how to live with it. That's no different. So they just recalled how they used to have a cigar together on their 18th birthday, and they shared moments of smoking cannabis. So just makes sense, doesn't it, really? I think I like my dad, you said. He was a social butterfly. I think that definitely rubbed off on me. So obviously being a podcaster now, so it's sort of like that sort of being open with casting. So it's very social in a way. You've got to be a social person to be able to do that. You know what I mean? To 14 million people for sure as well. So he's saying he taught me to respect life and not be wasteful. Don't just take shit from anyone, which is true. And just because you're small doesn't mean you can't make a difference. My dad was a badass and quite a little rebel, and I will be following in his footsteps. So basically, that's what it is, and that's what she done. So yeah, it just goes on to say that like this episode is going to be different to a future episodes, but she just wanted to dedicate her first one to a dead Papa Pizza, which is nice, I suppose. There you go. I think a little nice touch on the end. Weird way to smoke weed, grow weed, and then show everyone. But good luck to her, I say.
Yeah, man, that's it. And grieve in your own way, and it's sad. It's sad when anybody loses a parent like that. Goddamn. And you know they sound like they were close as well, so it's sad. Condolences to this lady. You know, I'm glad that she was able to, I don't know, partake in this kind of process of grieving like that. It must have helped. You know what I mean? And give some kind of closure. You know, it's just it would have been a bit shit if the plants like didn't make it. You know, if it was a shit grow or something. Damn. That would have been a bit shit.
that would have been evil if the plants died as well.
Well, it sounded pretty harsh.
God. Yeah.
He was saying she was coughing pretty hard, so I don't know. That ain't the good.
She might have taken like 7 hits, like we're not really breathed out too much. Like, yeah, man, smoking it hard on like on a podcast, and then she don't really smoke. Realise she don't smoke that often. Then you cough up a lung.
Damn.
But yeah.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier in the show there at the start, I don't know if this is what I would want, but I don't really care what happens after I die. You know, I saw a cool quote the other day, like what was it? Where people say, hey, I have a soul, and it's like, no, you are a soul, you have a body, and that was a real interesting quote that I saw there, and that's the way it is, isn't it? What happens to you after you die? Don't really know, but the body doesn't work anymore, so you know, let other people use it to whatever advantage it is for them, I suppose. That's how I see it.
Maybe not everyone to any advantage.
Yeah, true, because you know there's some sick fuckers out there, bro.
Exactamundo.
You know this, Billy. You know this because you are one of them.
Exactamundo.
Yeah, cool story. You got anything to add to this one, Brian?
No, I mean, I guess I was a little animated at the beginning of the show. I think just playing around with stuff that you don't understand and smoking stuff that maybe you don't really know and where it comes from and all that. I just want to leave all that alone on a personal level. But I could get it from a hippie thing, like, oh, I'm smoking my dad's ashes kind of thing. But to me, it looks like it almost seems like a little bit of a publicity stunt. So, you know, shout out to everybody that put that little article together, because here we are talking about it.
Indeed, yeah. It's definitely good publicity. She got 14.6 million subscribers. She's going to have 20 million now. You know, but fair play. You know, at least she enjoyed the weed. What about you, Margaret? Anything to add to this one?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. Now let's talk about Texas then. Let's see what Texas is saying over here. Texas is known as quite a red state. Anybody who follows that kind of stuff in the USA. And it's like a right-leaning state. I'm just trying to get the fucking zoom right here on this Forbes site. It's just going to be a dodgy angle. Okay, let's just roll with it. Texas lawmaker files cannabis legalization bill. A Texas state lawmaker this week filed a bill to legalize cannabis for adults and establish a regulated market for the reproduction and sale of recreational cannabis. Democrat State Republican Jessica Gonzalez submitted the legislation for the 2025 legislative that begins in January. Online cannabis news source Marijuana Moment reported on Wednesday. The legalization HB 1208 would legalize, regulate, and tax cannabis in Texas. The measure would allow adults aged 21 and over to possess up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis, including up to 15 grams of cannabis concentrate. I wonder if, you know, when they say this, it probably does mention in the article, but, you know, possess that much when you're out of the house, or just possess that much in general as a whole, you know, because that's not a lot of cannabis, really, is it? Adults would also be able to possess up to 10 ounces of weed at home. Okay, there we go. It did say as we went on. Although any quantity above 2.5 ounces would be required to be stored in a secure location. The 28-page bill also sets the stage for the regulated production, processing, distribution, and sale of recreational cannabis. The cannabis industry would be regulated by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, which would be tasked with the licensing business to cultivate, process, test, distribute, and sell cannabis in the state. Businesses would be required to be licensed by the state, and retail cannabis products would be assessed a tax of 10%. Yeah, I mean 10% isn't bad compared to many of these other states we've seen, right? I mean, what kind of tax are you paying in Canada then, Margaret?
Oh, we pay a lot of taxes.
It's like
Just
20% or something. Yeah, you have a
No.
lot of taxes in general, isn't it? Yeah.
They pay double tax. Remember, we done that article. They
Mhm.
pay tax on top of tax.
Yeah, some states do, don't they? What about
They
you?
didn't say
What about you,
anything
Brian?
about home grow in this though.
They haven't yet. Maybe they will do as we move on.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Brian, how much tax do you pay on your cannabis when you get it from a dispensary?
Usually comes to 25%. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Texas is being quite lenient there with the 10% tax. Additional weed bills also filed. In addition to Gonzalez's bill, Texas lawmakers have already filed several other bills related to cannabis policy reform. Only one day into the period to pre-file legislation for next year. Under state law, Texas legislators meet every 2 years. Heather Fazio of the group Texans for Responsible Marijuana Policy said that 2025 is likely to be a very consequential legislative session. Our state's cannabis laws are complicated and ineffective, Fazio told Marijuana Moment. Thankfully, lawmakers are taking the issue seriously and filing bills as soon as possible to get the process started. So yeah, all sounds good there. I mean, it sounds quite optimistic, right? Maybe this would actually happen. We got Democratic Representative Penny Morales Shaw is the sponsor of HB 1146, which would expand access to the state's low THC medical marijuana program. Under the bill, patients with a condition that causes chronic pain for which a physician would otherwise prescribe an opioid would be eligible for the program. The bill also opens eligibility to patients diagnosed with a debilitating medical condition as defined by the Department of State Health Services. Additionally, the health department would be given the authority to adopt rules that add new qualifying conditions to the state's limited medical cannabis program. So they have medical cannabis over in Texas already, right? By the sound of that. HB 848 from Democratic Representative Joe Moody would amend the Texas Criminal Code related to the possession and distribution of cannabis to include marijuana. It's got with a H there instead of a J. Marijuana concentrate. And a joint resolution HJR 70 from Democratic Representative Ron Reynolds calls for an amendment to the state's constitution that would direct state lawmakers to authorize and regulate the possession, cultivation, and sale of cannabis for medical use in the state. So it all sounds promising. It's just whether this shit will actually happen, because I think it has to go forward to different houses for it to be looked over, right? Do you know anything about the laws in Texas there, Brian?
Not enough to really add something that doesn't sound like Texas is a scary place, basically, right? Like even for a variety of reasons, but cannabis in general, and probably just maybe 5 years ago or so, even like seeds and stems and stuff, you were getting in big time trouble. So I wouldn't trust anything in Texas. If I was doing anything illegal, it just seems like I don't want to end up in a prison where everybody in there is huge and could beat the shit out of you. And it seems like that's where Texas, that's 8 out of 10 dudes down there are really about that life.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, okay.
But we got here as well Texas Senate cannabis reform bills. In the Texas Senate, SB 170 from Democratic Senator Jose Menendez would expand the state's medical cannabis program to be more like those of other states that have legalized the medicinal use of cannabis. The legislation would replace references to low THC cannabis with the term medical cannabis and set new rules for the testing, labeling, and packaging of medical cannabis products, among other changes. A separate measure from Democrat Senator Carol Alvarado, SB 259, would also expand the state's current medical cannabis program. In 2023, the Texas House of Representatives passed several bills to reform the state's cannabis policy, including a measure to decriminalize cannabis for adults. The state Senate, however, declined to advance the legislation. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, it has to go through all of these people, and there might just be one fucking fool who's like, oh no, you can't have that cannabis. I don't like the smell of it. You know, like fucking DeSantis
Yeah,
down in Florida. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So it can go any way so far. We have to wait and see what happens. But of course, we'll keep you up on the progress of what goes on down in Texas over the next few months. Good luck, Texas, and all of those in Texas, because I know we have some members and some listeners in Texas, and I'm sure they are hoping for the best when it comes to the results of this one. So yeah,
Maybe
good
they're
luck.
seeing the money a bit more now because we know the
Mm.
Republicans like
Mhm.
cash. Well, everyone likes cash, don't
They
they?
want to get one of them license lotteries up and running, don't they? You know, plenty of money in that. Fucking sneaky bastards. There's so much money to be made out of this for governments via taxes, and you know, these guys, they like to take their little piece of the pie as well. So it would be foolish for them not to. We'll see what happens, man. See what happens. Well, what do we have next? It's you now, Margaret, again, with the alcohol use to be a major factor in
Mhm.
cannabis vaping. Yeah.
Yeah. Alcohol use found to be major factor in cannabis vaping among youth and young adults. Alcohol use was the most common predictor of escalating cannabis vaping among youth and young adults, independent of demographic factors, according to research by UT Health Houston, published this month in the Journal of Social Science and Medicine. Cannabis vaping is the use of electronic cigarette delivery of liquid THC, concentrated form of cannabis. Vaping cannabis has grown in popularity among young people in the US, according to Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Cannabis vaping in youth and early adulthood can affect cognitive development and performance, including learning, memory, and attention, lead to the onset of chronic pulmonary damage from black market liquid THC products, as well as an increase in dependence on the drug, and result in incarceration due to federal prohibitions which list cannabis as a Schedule 1 drug.
I like the way they say all of that shit. You know, cannabis vaping in youth and early adulthood can affect cognitive development and performance. Show me the studies, because you haven't done any studies. I mean, it's not like I
Yeah.
agree with it. I don't think kids should be using cannabis, but come on, man, show us the fucking studies. You want to make up all this bullshit and say these things, but when we show some kind of evidence like cannabis helps with epilepsy or cannabis helps with back pain, and they'll be like, oh no, we want to see some studies. No, stop making shit up. You can't have your cake and eat it too, motherfuckers. Sorry, Margaret.
No, that's okay. I was just looking to see if they did have any sources, but they do not. Um, in this particular study, though, researchers focused on identifying the predictors of behavior of cannabis users and non-users. The data included middle to high school students in the Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. The students were surveyed from 2019 to 2021 and were asked 2 questions. Have you ever smoked marijuana or liquid THC from an electronic cigarette? And during the past 30 days, how many days did you smoke marijuana from an electronic cigarette? The students were also asked to self-report their racial and ethnic identity, gender, nicotine usage, and alcohol consumption. Researchers also investigated 2 indicators of mental health among student populations, anxiety and depression. If we know what predicts that behavior, those are the things we can try and target for addressing and preventing cannabis vaping among youth, Mante said. At the beginning of the study, 72.7% reported never cannabis vaping, 12.7% reported ever cannabis vaping, and 14.5% reported current cannabis vaping. Through the 3-year duration of the study, the risk for cannabis vaping experimentation, never to current, was significantly higher among non-Hispanic Blacks relative to non-Hispanic whites and non-Hispanic other groups. Alcohol proved to be a consistent factor in those who had never vaped cannabis to begin or experiment. Researchers referred to alcohol as a gateway to cannabis
What?
vaping.
The tables have turned.
Alcohol's the real gateway drug,
Oh,
folks.
for sure it
Heard it
is,
here
100%.
first.
And
This is breaking
just to
news.
interrupt, sorry, Margaret, but it's like, you know, when you have when you're a little bit tipsy, you're more inclined to do these things. You'll be like, oh, fuck it, go on then.
Of course, it lowers your
I'll try
inhibition.
it. Yeah.
That
So
liquid courage.
you can see why these make sense.
Yeah. The ultimate goal is to delay initiation of substances in youth because the later someone initiates a substance, the less likely they are to become addicted to it, Mante said. Since alcohol was shown to be a strong predictor, we need more comprehensive interventions. When we go into schools and talk about nicotine, vaping, or tobacco prevention, we need to make sure we are incorporating cannabis prevention and alcohol prevention, not just one substance. Depression predicted cannabis vaping initiation among Hispanics and non-Hispanic Black groups. The authors said more research is needed to understand the impact depression and other mental health problems may have in cannabis vaping among various demographics, so public health interventions can target the most at-risk groups.
Right.
There you have it. Alcohol is the gateway drug.
That's it. That's what I get from this article.
That's the takeaway.
But it's crazy how they say all this kind of stuff, man. When they're going to do depression there at the end,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go into the rant I want to go on to because we'll get the channel shut down, you know. But damn, they need to do more research into the shit they already give the kids, you know, like the legal pharmaceutical medications that they just pass on to the kids and let them take all these dodgy drugs, man, and see what kind of impact that has. Instead of just kids now and again, you know, just smoking a little bit of weed with their friends. Never did me any harm. I turned out sort of all right, you know. But again, it's not like I advocate for children to be taking cannabis, but you know, kids will be kids, man. It's what they do, you know. I just rather they do it safely.
Yeah, they do bring up a couple salient points though about the vaping, just because, you know, this black market vape juice, you don't really know, you can't always be sure what's in it.
Yeah, this is scary as well.
We talk about popcorn lung a lot. You don't hear about that much more, but I guess that was more with nicotine vapes, but still.
Yeah, it's still there. I wonder what's again. A lot of it's coming out of China as well, and it's not been been tested, not been put through proper studies to make sure that it's safe. We don't know what the long term effects of these kind of things are. I mean, my missus has got a THC vape, and it's you know like one of the actual ones with the liquid in and shit like that, and it's bought illegally here in the UK. You're not allowed to have these things because you know we live in a big brother state, a nanny state, and she's not allowed to have it. So it hasn't gone through proper testing and things like that. You don't know how safe they are. You know, loads of people have these things now, and we really don't know what kind of effect it's going to have on people in 20 years' time. It's crazy.
The other thing I really don't like about those vapes either, if you're buying them, I don't know whether it's like on the black market, but in the legal dispensaries, they create so much garbage. There's so much garbage because all those empty carts get tossed. The batteries are shit because they're just super cheap usually, and they break and die all the time. So there's that. And then there's the packaging itself. So it's just super wasteful.
Yeah, yeah. And you see them thrown around, like when I'm walking the dog, I'd often see vapes just thrown away on the ground.
Yep.
And it's like, what the fuck, man? It's not just plastic, but like you say, the battery is in there. There's all sorts of dodgy chemicals in there. So they're not disposed of correctly either. You know, it's at least when people flicked away a fucking cigarette or a joint, it would degrade after a certain amount of time. But damn, a plastic vape is going to be there for a couple of thousand years, maybe.
And the batteries, that's the problem. The amount of batteries, you know.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Which one is really better, vaping or smoking?
Dry. Well, you could do the in between and do dry herb vaping, and that's kind of like the best of both.
I would say that's the best way to go, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't hit any kind of them fucking THC vapes, man. You just don't know what's in it. I mean, maybe
a lot of heavy metals.
You know, yeah, that's what I would think. You know, from
but we had the news stories we've done a few times. All the testing what's been done of them, a lot of them have been come back as not passing the regulations because they've got fucking contaminants in.
Yeah, be careful.
So no, fuck that.
Dodgy, but yeah, it's a interesting story for sure. So and again, we can understand how the fuck this shit is happening in the first place because when you get a little bit tipsy, you're more inclined to be trying these things that you haven't done before. So yeah, alcohol is definitely the gateway drug out of a lot of them. Anything to add to this one, Brian? You haven't said much on this.
No, I definitely think that alcohol is a gateway drug, and lying to children about cannabis, that it's like in the same level when you're talking like Schedule 1 with hardcore drugs, I think is also how we have a lot of issues with that, because I even saw my peers, okay, if they lied to us about cannabis, then let's try cocaine, let's try all these other drugs, right? So I think if you're just honest with kids at when they're at the proper age, I would think when they're 16, basically, when they can go out there, that's probably when I'll tell my kids, like, look, the world isn't how you thought it is, and kind of break it down like that. But if in hindsight, if my children are maybe drinking a little bit on Friday nights with their friends and maybe smoking weed behind my back, and if that's all they're doing, I would feel okay with it.
Yep, kids will be kids, man. You know. Yeah, I did a lot of crazy things when I was young. I hope my kids are better behaved than I was. That's all I can ask for. You know.
Karma's a bitch.
But you know, goddamn. That's why I'm so
Sorry.
terrified to let them out of the house. It's like fuck. But,
Yeah, but then they will anyway.
so we had these the poll out there to let everybody choose what article we're gonna pick last, and we had these 2 weed stocks may surge under Trump for 37%, which was the one which got the most votes there. So we will hit that one. Let me just get it up on the screen so you can all see it. Billy, you want to talk about this one? You want to take this one away? You have a chat about this.
Yeah.
You got the link. It's in the show notes.
Yeah, I can see it. I've got it here. Yep. So basically, the legal cannabis market is projected to reach 102.2 billion globally by 2030. So let me say that again: 102.2 billion by 2030. That's a little bit of money there, isn't it? A little bit of cash. So growing at a sizzling 25.7% annual rate, which is massive. How many industries have a growth rate of 25%? Man, that's just mental, isn't it?
Yep, no suggestions. I don't know any.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it is pretty big. Yeah. So the dramatic growth is expected between even without the US federal support as well. So with the federal support, it's going to be even more than that, isn't it? So, but that equation could be shifted dramatically under President Donald Trump's second term. So again, it's the endorsement of Kennedy really as a human services is one of the reasons they're nominating him here. But even the specific appointments, Trump's campaign rhetoric and public support for cannabis banking reform suggest a more favourable regulatory environment ahead. Like I said, it's more the banking stuff they can rake in the money. Mm-hmm. So 2 cannabis stocks appeared to be well positioned to capitalise on the evolving landscape. So cannabis, Canadian cannabis titan Tilray is one of them, they reckon. I've seen its stock decline by 42.8% in the year to date. So it's quite low at the minute.
Damn, yeah.
So they want to. So the company's shares are trading 1.3% times the trading sales. So yeah, Wall Street analysts project the company's revenue to increase by more than 20% over the course of the fiscal year 25 to 26 because of new changes. I reckon new growth by a couple of $100 million. So again, it's all about the money. Again, they're looking at the markets opening up because of the federal legalization. The money can be moved around basically. So obviously the banking can then be levied off somewhere else, which makes more money. So they still reckon it's going to be a 1.2 billion market cap.
Damn.
That's still a lot.
And what's it at now? Did he say? He probably doesn't.
No, that's it.
Oh, so it's at 1.2 billion now.
Yeah. So that's the market cap now. So, but that's still quite big, isn't it? Company worth $1 billion a year.
But the market cap is how much it's worth collectively, right? It's not like it doesn't make that much a year. It's just how much that's the whole company's worth as a whole. Yeah,
that's what you're generating as a company. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, basically, they're talking about the major pharmaceutical tobacco companies with greater resources are still be able to push themselves further. So they're yet really to get into play, and so basically, it just goes on about that there's companies out there to make a lot of money out of, and really, I don't want to go on too much because it's quite a long article in a way, but yeah, because of them looking to change the federal shit, which makes a lot of money, really, $1 billion.
Yeah. It's going to make a big difference if it does get legalized federally, you know, and you're going to see stock prices increase.
Well, you'd look at whatever Colorado is bringing in at the moment, and then every state would be that minimum, wouldn't it, straight away, plus whatever on top. So it's because Colorado's quite a small state, really, isn't it? Texas compared to Colorado is like fucking massively bigger. Yeah. So Like the economy is far fucking bigger, so they're going to be looking at like a lot.
So the first company that's going to make a change is Tilray, right? And
Yes,
this
yeah,
next one,
basically.
what's the next one? I don't understand. It's what's the
Innovative
industrial
industrial
properties?
properties, yeah.
Hmm.
So, but they're a real as a real estate investment trust.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they have all the money on all the farms and the warehousing and all
Right.
the
Okay.
offices and all which obviously everyone needs, didn't they? Where you're going to grow your weed, indoor, outdoor. You're going to need space to do it, store it, distribute it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just like So that's what they're saying is like this is the door is opening. So yeah, if you are an investor in cannabis, look at what happening in your states and follow it because the federal law is going to be changing, and they may do that in January. So,
Mm-hmm. This is not financial advice. Just
yeah,
we're gonna put
definitely
that
not
disclaimer in
financial
there.
advice.
All right, everybody.
For sure. But if you play that game, it's worth keeping a close eye on the ball, isn't it? Because obviously you're going to get a jump on the market if you're into cannabis. So use your knowledge and gamble sensibly.
Yeah.
And only bet what you're willing to lose or what you can afford to lose as well.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It's important.
That's important. Don't bet your fucking house on the cannabis
This
market.
might just be bullshit, isn't it? And they're just
Go
like they're
tits
saying
up.
all this, and in the end, it's just going to lose money anyway.
That's
Yeah.
it. Wait until the laws change and then invest somewhere. But better off investing yourself. If you're going to invest 10 to 50 grand in something, invest that in your own cannabis industry.
Yeah, go into one of those lotteries and see if you can win
Yeah,
yourself
man.
a license.
It's worth a go, isn't it? Well, it is though, isn't it? It's worth a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell, especially if you can
Well,
get a
if you got the
license
spare money,
cheap enough. Yeah, but to say some of these places may be offering licenses for cheap enough for you to get in the game. If you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
it's worth looking at. The laws are going to be changing soon. So
do you think they will, though? I mean, what are you saying, Brian? Do you think that because we've been told by many politicians throughout the years that cannabis is going to be legalized, and it obviously hasn't been federally legalized yet, do you think it has a chance under Trump, or do you think it's just bullshit again?
I think it's bullshit again. I think that will be. There's so many other things in the world going on that's not at the forefront. And I want to point out, like, if you guys, people listening to us live or on the replays and stuff on YouTube, if your family is going to get involved in cannabis and you're really going to have to basically play nice with the state, then again, I encourage you to join the Normal, NORML. It was created by Keith Stroop. And you'll have a branch in your town, or as long as you live in like a bigger city, you'll have at least one per pretty big city. And I would show up at those meetings because they seem to have their little flies on the wall, and they seem to find out what's potentially going to happen before other people. And so you can go to these meetings, and they're usually once a month, and kind of find out what's going on with your state. And I think that's a legal way to get kind of inside information when you are going against
Do a Nancy
such a
Pelosi
big...
on it. Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly. Shit. Whew. Nearly got in trouble then.
Yeah, don't want to be swinging by the tree in the morning, do you, mate?
No,
hey?
I mean, shoot myself in the face and then jump off a tree. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't want to be doing that.
Just something to add here before we wrap this up. We had at the bottom of this article, it said, should you invest $1,000 in Tilray brands right now? Offer from the Motley Fool. Before you buy stock in Tilray brands, consider.
Did he follow?
I don't know. That was really weird.
Oh shit! Did I go on mute? Fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where did I get to?
I was checking my earphones and everything. Oh shit, my
So was
earphones have
I.
gone off.
I did it on purpose to freak you all out. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So you heard me say
Professional.
offer from the Motley Fool before you buy stock in Tilray brands. Consider this, right? And then I went on mute. Are you fucking messing with me now? You can't.
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, we're all messing with you now. Probably.
Gosh,
Yeah.
The Motley
Nah.
Fool stock advisor analyst team just identified what they believe are the 10 best stocks for investors to buy now, and Tilray Brands wasn't one of them. The 10 stocks that made the cut could produce monster returns in the coming years. Consider when Nvidia, fucking hell, that was a horse
Fucking
I missed.
Nvidia, mate, yeah.
Gosh. Consider when Nvidia made the list on April 15, 2005. If you invested $1,000 at the time of our recommendation, you would have $900,893 now. Stock Advisor provides investors with easy-to-follow blueprint for success, including guidance and building a portfolio, regular updates from analysis, and 2 new stock picks each month. So yeah, do your research, man. Don't just jump into this shit blind. If you're interested in getting involved in stocks and shares, whether it's cannabis or anything else, then make sure you do lots of research. Lots of communities out there, lots of YouTube channels. So, you know, do research, man. If you do it right, it can be a fun hobby that can make you money potentially. But the best way to look at it as it's just a hobby, just having some fun. If it makes money, cool. If it don't, cool. You paid for entertainment. It's like Grand Theft Auto. You know, you invest money to buy like Grand Theft Auto money so you can have more fun. Just consider it like that. And if it works out, then it works out. And if it don't, then it don't. No, that would be my advice, which is not financial advice. You know what I'm saying? You bought money on Grand Theft Auto before, right? We've all done that. No?
I can't wait.
Mate. Nah, mate.
There's cheat codes, Macky. You don't have to spend your money on
I
that.
used to do that fucking that mission with the submarine where you get like 3 million and shit. And there's a glitch where and I'm not going to go into detail. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, on my Grand Theft Auto account, I had everything. I had all the fancy stuff, man. It's like crazy, Elon Musk level rich. Good times. But yeah, some good news stories there. Let's quickly cover some forum news. There's a couple of pieces of forum news I wanted to get to. Yeah, the Patreon session is this week. So on the last Friday of every month, if you are a Patreon, we have a session. We just open up the Zoom room and everybody joins and we chat shit. And these sessions are epic, man. We have some great conversations about lots of controversial subjects sometimes not so controversial. We talk about movies and games and just random shit. Whatever comes up, we talk about it. It's always a great conversation. So if you are a Patreon and you are free on Friday at 9 p.m. GMT, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. If you are free, yeah, come and join us and have the conversation. We're planning... Well, I am planning anyway, and I think a couple of the other guys over in the room, because a lot of alien stuff happened this month. They're talking about aliens being real and shit, living in the sea. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that and see what kind of conclusions we can come up with and see if we can solve the world's problems. So join us.
Well, Margaret told us, didn't they, that aliens blew up the Titanic submarine.
That's right.
She revealed that
secret. I think it was Margaret.
So...
Yeah, she revealed it last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it me that said that?
Yep. Don't try and deny it now, Margaret. We know the truth. Yeah, and then on Tuesday with the CH Tuesday, we have Margaret coming on for an interview. And we're gonna, I am gonna chat with Margaret on Tuesday. We're gonna learn more about her podcast and just talk about some crazy stuff. Maybe aliens then too. Yeah, we'll find out what we talk about on the interview. But any more forum news to add here? I think Plant of the Month will be coming to an end soon, so make sure you get your entries in if you want to enter Plant of the Month this month. But I think with that, that's all of the forum news. That's all of the interviews. I think that's everything. Any news to add from you guys? Anything?
No, man.
I think it's funny that Elon Musk might buy MSNBC. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that is kind of fun.
Really?
I don't think he's going to, though, is he? Because it's Comcast. I don't think Comcast is selling it. I think they're going to change it. I don't think it's actually up for sale.
I think he's trolling them a bit, but it is funny. The troll is epic.
If it did happen, it would be unbelievably epic.
And if it did happen, Joe Rogan said that he'll take Rachel Maddow's show.
Oh, my God. That lady gets 30 mil, bro, for one show a week.
Yeah, I saw that she got some $125 million deal now for the next 5 years or something. She got paid a ridiculous amount of money. God,
I should be in legacy media.
Just
Well, that was my mistake.
I don't know how that's gonna last though.
No, I don't know either. She obviously knows who's on the list, I think. You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
The list. You know the list.
The alleged list.
The shopping list. Yeah,
The shopping.
You know,
Let's
the
call it the shopping
shopping
list. That's right.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shopping list.
That's
Hey,
right.
did you know Nancy Pelosi's father was tied up with the mob? So do you think Nancy Pelosi could be the greatest gangster that's ever lived?
Yeah, you think so? Al
I don't know
Capone got
about the
nothing on me.
greatest.
She played being a fragile old lady for like 30 years, dude, just crushing it.
That would be an interesting story. God damn.
With that amount of money, you can pay a lot of people to do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, but
I like
it's
saying
good,
that after everything we say.
yeah, but you have to
Allegedly.
cover your ass on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
So with
I've got a big
sorry,
tree
go
in
on.
my back garden, so
Yeah, be careful. Don't go out by that tree, Billy.
yeah, I won't.
Gotta be careful of the old Clinton side. It happens. Well, with that, let's move on to a quick smoke break. Let's take
More
5.
friendly.
Yeah, I'm firing up right now.
That's right. You know, we should have
I'm so
started that smoke break
excited.
5 minutes ago. I think. You know.
I know, like you can technically have your smoke break whenever you want, but
Very true. Very true.
this is the official one, though.
Yeah,
This is
love
the
it.
official
Oh, yeah.
smoke break, everybody. Yeah,
As it's a smoke break, the Beastie Boys' Licensed to Ill is 38 years old this year.
What?
yeah, we don't want to
Yep.
know fucking news like that, Billy. What the fuck?
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's like skate night music for us.
Yeah,
Feel
that's what
old
I
yet?
mean. Yeah, do you feel
That's what
old
that
yet?
was.
Do you feel old yet?
Way before you had.
Damn.
My kids can't believe that I was alive before the internet.
I know, right? That's crazy to think. They
It's,
don't
Oh.
understand.
it's
Some kids
crazy to
won't be
them.
able to comprehend that there was a time before the internet. Like, if you know what I
The
mean.
time before. That's what it is.
Yeah, imagine that. Like, at least your kids know because they've got living proof being you. But like in 3 generations time, there'd be no living proof of before the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's
wow.
great.
So like,
Creep.
so we're almost the last generation of that. If you know what I mean.
One of
So
my kids mentioned the
that's
other day,
scary.
and you know, I know my kids' dates of birth and shit, but you never really think about it too much. But one of them was like, "Yeah, I'm from 2010," and I'm like, "What? Let me add that up." Oh my fucking god!
Oh my God, you are, aren't you?
How are people
Shit.
born in 2010? That was just a few weeks ago. What are you on about? Fuck! Damn!
Yeah.
It's crazy how time flies, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
man.
I can see these Instagram reels. I don't know if anybody sees those Instagram reels as well. And it's just like sometimes he gets real nostalgic and it takes you through like 40, 50 different reels about TV shows from your childhood and all these songs being played. You're like, oh my God, I know this song. You know, you stop at the sign at the lollipop. You're like, oh my God, it's Play Days, man. What the fuck? I remember that. Oh my God, sad. And then you show your kid, you're like, check this out. Like, oh, that's lame. God damn. Completely different standard of entertainment they have nowadays to what we had. I mean, actually, it was good, but, you know, I don't know. It
So
wasn't as well produced, was it?
If you mentioned bag puss to someone else, I think it's a bit of a cuss, wouldn't they? Really?
Yeah. Anyway.
My daughter's so used to Netflix that if she
Mhm.
watches her brother's tablet on YouTube and it has the commercials, she freaks out.
Oh, yeah.
Like the
No, YouTube is pretty much unusable now because of the amount of ads on it. I used to use
Use
Chrome
Brave.
browser a lot. Yeah, but now I've been using Brave for like, I don't know, maybe 6 months, 8 months or something. It's been a while. And I don't get ads on YouTube now because of it. And then when I
Oh, you
go to
don't?
like, no, don't get any
That's
ads
cool.
on YouTube.
They
when
don't
you're
play
using
them?
Brave. No.
No,
Watch
no.
all your videos, no ads. It's fucking
That's
beautiful.
so interesting.
But when I go downstairs and I like put the PlayStation on and use YouTube on the PlayStation, I get an ad and it's like 50 seconds until video starts.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is this?
Because I
Yeah.
use Brave too, and I never noticed that, but you're right.
Oh wow, you haven't. That's why I use Brave.
Yeah,
I just got sick
same
of it
here.
one time. Like, fuck this, sick of these fucking ads, man. I'm gonna
Oh, I
try
know.
Brave because my son was using Brave and I was screwing at the ads. He's like, why don't you just use Brave? You know, being
That was
told
me
what
that
to
was
do.
moaning at you about.
Was it
Because you
you?
kept on yeah, because I've been using it for like 2 years, and I say
Mhm.
kept on saying to you for about 6 months
Yeah,
before you even done it, like, and
Mhm.
then you switched, and
Yeah, because my boy was on
Yeah.
at me as well. Like, I just use
Yeah.
Brave. I'm like, does it actually work? Is it good? He's like, yeah, try it out. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And then, yeah, all I do now is use Brave. Unless I want to Google search something, then I'll go to Google because the Google
See-
search is better than Brave search, I find.
what people don't understand is that Chromium is what Google Chrome runs off, and Brave is Chromium as well. They're both exactly the same. It's just that Google search engine is a lot bigger and better.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
So, but apart from that, Brave is far. But you can use Brave to do searches on Google, so you still
Yeah,
cut
you
out
can just go
all.
google.com. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So
the software I use to make pictures, like the thumbnails and shit like that, on Pixlr is the site I use. It hasn't transferred properly over from Chrome to Brave, so I have to go back to Chrome just to make pictures and shit, because it's got the old files on there and stuff, so it just makes it easy for me.
Yeah, I suppose because
Yeah.
it's the files are encrypted to Chrome rather than
Mhm.
Brave browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just browser
But
encryption.
overall, and when you go to a new window, let me just have a look here, because we're on the smoke break.
Are they a new advert?
Well, it
Advertisers now,
tells you,
Brave, rather than Manscaped. Just need to know.
It tells you on Brave, like the information about how much you've saved and stuff by using Brave. So since using Brave, I have saved, there's 418,381 trackers and ads have been blocked, which has saved me 3.5 gigs of bandwidth and 5.8 hours of saved time. That's
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah, that's pretty it's a good amount of time from not watching fucking ads on YouTube.
Trackers
Crazy,
and ad blocks, but now you're not getting your personalized ads, Mackie. How will you know that you need those stocks or
Yeah,
those?
how do you know?
tells
Yeah,
me.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, his phone tracks everything anyway. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, your phone knows.
Yeah, my
Phone's
phone knows
listening.
anyway.
it's always listening anyway.
And it's
Yeah,
not
that-
like I really care about any of that. It's I don't mind Google having my information and being like, oh, yeah, you prefer this, you prefer that. I'm like, cool. Give me more
Just
of
don't want
a
ads.
personalized experience. But ads constantly on YouTube it got too much of a joke. I ain't paying YouTube Premium. Fuck that. I pay Netflix. And even Netflix is shit.
Right.
Somebody saw somebody on X
Netflix
the
is
other day.
shit now.
Oh man, it's so bad. I saw somebody on X the other day say people in the UK should only pay £2.50 for their Netflix because they've got such a shit selection of things. And it's a true
Yeah,
story.
totally.
It's so shit over here. We get crap. Anyway.
That Tubi has more interesting shows. There's like documentaries and stuff. All that's free on Tubi.
All right. I don't even know what that is.
You gotta
Let's
check that
it
out.
Another one is Prime Video. And you go on there and it's like it's got some free stuff, but it's just place you
Prime
have to pay
stuff.
for more fucking videos. It's like I'm a subscriber here. I have to pay extra.
You need to
watch
pay
a
to like
decent
not
film.
get ads as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
anything
that as well,
decent.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's got ads. Yeah.
Fuck Amazon.
Fuck Amazon.
I said it. I canceled my Prime membership.
Don't
I
blame
did.
Me. Don't blame me.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you know
I
what the
only have
funny
it.
thing is too?
Sorry.
Is like a lot of the times, even though I don't have Prime now, I still get my shit in like 2 days.
Oh really?
And
Yeah.
it's free shipping over like $30. So like what do I need? Why am I paying $100 a year for this or whatever it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
my missus likes the whole Prime thing because everything arrives really fast. You know, she
Well,
likes
it
the
still
Amazon.
arrives pretty fast. That's what I'm saying. I was really
Yeah.
surprised the time I ordered something. It was like, oh, it'll be like 4 days. I'm like, well, I guess I can wait. Like that's like old timey wait times, but whatever. And then it showed up in like 2 days anyway.
Damn.
So yeah.
Might have to look into that.
Just
Might
gonna
rid
get
of
a
it.
drink.
No, cool, baby, cool. Yeah, so this is what the sessions are like, everybody. We just chat random shit like this. So join us on Friday.
The behind the scenes is crazy sometimes because people forget about hot mics, cold mics, and say some wild ass shit.
Yeah. It's like, man, we've been doing some cool stuff over on the Discord server. We've been playing Scrabble over there, but it's called it's called something else because Scrabble is copyright. It's like letters. So it's a letter game, but it's Scrabble by any other name. And I've been whooping everybody, by the way. I played like 10 games and only lost 2. And one of those was to Billy because he won by like fucking 12 points or something. Bastard. He got lucky. He got lucky. But I whooped his ass every other time. So yeah, it's good fun, man. I like playing the Scrabble over there. So if anybody is up for a game of Scrabble or whatever the fuck it's called over on Discord, make sure you're in the Discord server and come and join us for a game sometime. And it's voice call as well, so it's like being in the Zoom room, but we're playing a game. It's good fun. You play Scrabble, Margaret?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, it seems like you're the type of lady to play Scrabble. You should join us sometime in the Discord and have a game of Scrabble.
Yeah, I should. I haven't been on Discord in forever.
It's cool, man. They got chess game over there as well, so you can play chess. But I don't think there's many people into chess as much as I am into chess. I'm a bit geeky like that. Well, a bit geeky in loads of ways, really. I'm quite geek. But yeah, I like chess. I play chess every day right now.
My play is Duolingo, which is pretty geeky too.
How's your Duolingo going? How's the German?
It's good. Yeah, I don't know if I told you that I finished. I finished.
You finished the whole course?
Yeah.
What do you do now?
I didn't think it was possible, but there is an end. There will be an end for you one day, Mackie.
Yeah, I'm like halfway through the second course, and there's only 3 of them.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, really. I'm doing pretty well. I'm watching TV shows in Mandarin and shit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
but yeah, there is an end. I mean, I still do it. I still practice every day, but
How would you
it's
say
not.
that your German is? Can you speak German?
Yeah, a little bit. I would say it's my grammar's probably horrendous, but yeah, yeah. Because a lot of it's like you just have to know, you
Get
just have
some
to
more.
remember.
Yeah, yeah.
There isn't
And
really a rule. So
that's why it's
that's
good to watch the TV shows and shit like that, because that you know, it helps you just get used to the language as it's used, you know,
yeah, I
everyday
put a lot
terms.
of German subtitles on when I'm watching stuff too.
I try
Yeah.
seeing Mandarin fucking subtitles and just all these little fucking pictures everywhere, little symbols, hieroglyphics, I like to call them. It's cool. It's
Are you
cool.
learning the characters too?
Yeah, yeah. Learning the whole thing.
God, isn't there like 80,000 or something?
Yeah, a ridiculous amount, but I don't know. And it's got tones as well. There's 5 different tones that you have to use when you say certain words, and if you don't use the right tone, then the word can mean something completely different and shit like that. But
Yeah.
it's fun. It's interesting. I enjoy it. I'll probably never use it in a real life setting, but you know, I enjoy learning it. It's interesting. My
Well, I don't
daughter the
know.
other day. Sorry.
There's a lot more Chinese speakers out there than there are German speakers, so you might have better luck than I do.
Yeah, I was showing my daughter the other day. I was like, "Look, this means ling shi, which is snack." Like showing all these fucking symbols. She's like, "You can read that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can read most of this." But you know, it's on Duolingo, so I know those ones. But
Yeah.
it's good fun, man. It's good fun, and you know, I don't think I'll ever visit China.
No?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe one day. I don't know. But it's
I've heard
just
it's pretty interesting. I was there 10 years ago,
oh,
only for
cool,
a couple
really.
weeks,
Oh, when
but
did you
it
go?
was, when did I go? Like
No,
10 years ago.
where did you go?
Oh, I was in Shanghai
Oh,
for 2
cool,
weeks. Yeah.
cool.
It was really interesting. Very, really interesting. And there's not that much English spoken. So if you can speak any kind of like Mandarin, then you are ahead of the game. Yeah.
It's good. I can speak basic things, but I have to slow it down. You know, I have to speak
Oh,
really slow and
yeah.
think beforehand. I like to just have, you know, when I'm having random discussions or about to say random things, you know, when you're driving or something, and then you go to say something, can I translate that sentence I just said into Mandarin? That's what I like to do. Shit like that. And when I go
Right.
shopping, random things, you know, it's fun, man. It's fun. I enjoy it. Whether I'll ever use it or not, I saw a guy in the shop today. I went shopping before I went to the show, and guy's there with his son, and he was speaking Mandarin. I could tell by the tone he was speaking and shit. He's like, say something to him. He's like, no, don't, you fucking dickhead, shut up. You know, don't say anything to the man. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. He don't want to hear your terrible Mandarin. He doesn't want to hear you butcher his language.
I sometimes find though some people are really like thrilled to hear somebody trying to learn their language. It might depend, but a lot of people are like, that's really cool that you
I
learn
just
this
go,
language.
Ni hao, ni shou zong wen ma.
That sounded
He's like,
pretty good.
what? I don't know. I'm just not there yet. I'm not confident with it, but I'll get there.
The only Chinese I remember was xie xie.
Xie, yeah.
Or is that, I don't have my tones down. Maybe I
Thank
said
you,
something
thank you.
different, but yeah. Yeah.
Xie, say Jen. We're watching like kids TV, Mandarin kids TV as well, like Peppa
Yeah.
Pig, Sesame Street versions of it, because you know their type of TV, that type of TV program is there to teach kids how to speak as well. So I find that interesting. That's cool. I was watching
what I
Little
should
Red
watch
Riding
then.
Hood the other day.
Like kids TV programs in another language. Yeah.
I got books as well, like Mandarin books, on my phone, so I can read the Mandarin through the letters and then translate it afterwards. It's interesting shit, man. I enjoy it. It's fun. I can read about 50% of the letters, but it's only basic stuff, and it's just, you know, talking about cats eating lunch on a bad weather day. But yeah, good fun. Good fun. I enjoy it. Are you back yet, Billy? That's a no.
Yeah, get some water.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, cool.
I've just been listening to you drivel on with your Mandarin.
Yeah.
Good fun. Language learning.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun. Give it a shot, everybody. Give it a shot. Yeah, preparing for our communist overlords. You know what I'm saying, Rasha? You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
they're broke, dude.
Yeah. I joke with my friends, innit? And I say to them, like, well, what are you learning Mandarin? I was like, I want to learn how to say, please don't kill my family. It's a terrible joke, I know, everybody, but still, it's funny. It's funny because we might go that way in the next 20 years. We'll see. With that, I think it's a good time to move on to an actual topic and talk about how to tell if your plant's ready
It
for
literally
harvest.
says smoke break.
Yeah, it says smoke break at the top. Did you smoke?
No, my wife was yelling at me because there was so much smoke in here, and I was showing her. It says
Yeah, look,
smoke
see, it's
break.
flashing on the screen. Come on.
Yeah, come
have to
on.
abide to the rules.
You know, I'm basically having a party in here by myself.
Sweet.
Hey, man, I feel like, you know, when you see those single moms out at the bars, that's me right now.
What dress you got on?
Single dad.
Yeah, what you wearing, bro? What you
Yeah,
wearing?
what you wearing, bro?
Jesus.
Nah. What
Well,
colour are
let's
your
go on to the
socks?
grow guides. Let's do it. Okay, this is episode 21 of the Grow Guides, and if you are following the episodes step by step every week, as we suggest that you do, you might, if you are, if you picked a quick strain, then you'll be coming to the end of the grow pretty soon, and we want to make sure that you know how to tell when your plant is ready for harvest, because we don't want you doing it too early, we don't want you doing it too late, you want it to get just about the right time. So we're going to explain the different ways that you can tell that the plant is ready for harvest, so you get the best out of it, the best yield, the best flavor, best terpene production, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what we're covering in this episode today. And of course, if you know anybody who wants to learn how to grow their own cannabis as well, and they don't know how, then refer them to this series. There's 21 episodes now, and we've gone through everything they need to know to learn how to grow their own cannabis, from knowing nothing all the way up to this point now, where we're teaching you how to harvest cannabis plants, and well, to know when it's ready for harvest at least. So yeah, do share if you can, but of course, no pressure. Just thanks for being here and listening to the show so far. I hope it's been useful to some people as well. And if it has been useful, let us know. Let us know. Go over to the forum and be like, yeah, that Grow Guide series really helped me, man. Thank you very much. That'd be cool. But anyway, so harvesting is where you're going to chop the plant down and dry the buds. And, the grow is essentially going to be over at that point. You're just going to be at the end stages where you're drying the cannabis. So do you want to explain what harvesting... how you can tell when the plant is ready for harvest, Margaret? You want to talk about some of that?
Yeah, sure. The usually the best indicators are the color and condition of the trichomes and pistils.
Mm-hmm.
And the trichomes usually shift from like clear to cloudy or amber, depending on the desired effect. Pistils will turn from white to brown or orange and curl in. And you can use a magnifying glass or like one of those jeweler's loops or whatever to inspect your trichomes, which is always fun. I love getting that thing out. That makes me feel like I'm
And
professional.
people use these USB microscopes now. Have you seen
Yeah.
those? And people can get real close and like get videos of the trichomes and real close HD pictures of them as well. That's very cool. I like that shit. Well, just in case the people didn't know any of the terminology there, then the trichomes are like these little things that grow on the buds. They are essentially mushroom shaped. There'll be a little stalk with a ball at the top, and that's what you're looking at when you're trying to identify at what stage the trichomes are, whether they're mature or not. You're going to be looking closely at the balls at the top of those stalks. So you have to look really close, like Margaret said. So you can use a magnifying glass, but that probably isn't going to get you close enough. The best thing to use is a jeweler's loupe, because that's going to get you between 75 and 100 times zoom, so you can really see the top of those trichomes to get a good idea of what color it is. But if you can get a USB microscope which you can like plug into your phone or something like that, then that's a good way to go as well. But they're a little bit more expensive, but they're only like $15-20. It's not like breaking the bank expensive. So yeah,
It's
you can use
also
some of
for those in North America. I don't know if you guys do this in the UK, but it's Black Friday time. So it could be a good time to pick one up if you've had your eye on one, or even just one of those like little jeweler's loops, because they're not that expensive. They're pretty affordable.
And there's cool ones which you can get the clip onto your phone as well. I've had those before. You clip it onto the camera of your phone, and then you can put that pretty close up and see how the trichomes are looking as well. You were saying something there, Billy?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think you really do need a minimum of 60 times zoom magnification. Anything more, just it makes it awkward. I mean, that 60 times or even 100 just makes it a lot like just comfortable to look at, easy for you to go across the plant and stuff with it. I mean, without bashing your plant and all of that malarkey. So, yeah, I do think getting the better zoom magnification is the best. And like they say, it's Black Friday, so look at your lupes now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and anything like that. if you're going to need something coming up in the future, like a grow tent, some extractors or anything like that, now's a good time to buy because everything's got like 20% discounts on. So if you're thinking about buying something soon, now is the time to do it. But there's something else mentioned there as well, was the pistils. And the pistils are the little hairs that come out of the buds, which will be white while the plant is growing. But towards the end, they can turn brown or orange, and that's a small indicator of whether the plant's going to be ready for harvest or not. But the thing is, they can turn orange for different reasons as well. If they get damaged, they start to die off and become orange. If they get pollinated, so if some pollen has landed on them, then they will turn brown as well. And so it's not really a great idea to just use looking at the pistils as an example of whether it's done or not. Because even overfeeding them, if you give too much PK at some point, that can damage the pistils and they'll turn orangey, red, brown at that point as well. And this can happen 6 weeks in if you do it there. So it's not a great indicator of whether the plant's ready for harvest or not, but it's just one of those things that you can use alongside everything else to decide whether it is or not. You know, get the magnifying glass out, get the jeweler's loupe, have a good look, 30 to 60 times zoom. You get a good check on the actual trichomes and what color the heads are on the trichomes. And also, you know, the pistils along with that as well. It's just going to collect all these things together to come up with a good conclusion. But Brian, do you want to cover, because we mentioned there people looking at the trichome heads, which them bulbous balls on top of the stalks of the actual trichomes, and they are going to be specific colors. Do you want to talk about what color they should be and when you should harvest and things like that?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback because you said when it comes together. I think that's how you the verbiage that you used.
Okay.
You need to use your five senses when you're growing cannabis like this, and when you're kind of newer to it, we've always kind of taught the team that the microscope is the sixth sense. So you want to get better at kind of like in the field kind of stuff and starting to look for what we've always known as cloudy or milky trichomes. And so from there, we're going to start to think about what genetics are we growing, or what specific genetics do we think we're growing. And then that would start to determine, for me, when I'm going to start to actually even look at some of the trichomes. Because I think there's a lot of mistakes made, early pulls, that kind of stuff, sometimes even done on purpose, because you can kind of trick your clientele if you're pulling things earlier where the trichomes haven't started to turn a little more amber or darker in color. You're going to be able to have a cleaner hash, but is it going to be something that is enjoyable? And so when you're making medicine, that's what we want to get across all the time, is there's really something to that microbial life that's creating the medicine and the trichomes. And you can, in my opinion, you can really see that when you get some of these other genetics. Margaret's talking about the pistils and how those kind of change. I mean, there are now genetics out there that have purple pistils and pink pistils, and I don't think the average cannabis consumer even knows that exists yet. So there's so much to the cannabis plant as a whole that I hope you guys are using those senses when you're growing. And then when it comes down to the trichomes, again, I start looking when it's starting to get cloudy and milky. If it's something that is 55 days, then you're going to really start to think about when to pull. If there's something that's later, then I would just continue to work with my team and make sure that we don't pull too late. But
when would you say was too late?
When everything's gotten almost like too dark, it's I don't know the best way to describe this.
It's all gone darker brown rather than like a creamy brown.
Yeah,
it's not an inviting amber color, right? Like when you first kind of see it, you get excited. When it's gone, it's like, oh man, the luster to it, the shimmer in that plant is kind of faded a little bit.
So just to go into more detail there for the new guys who don't know any of this. It's like the trichomes, when they're first growing, when they're on the plant, they're going to grow clear. When you're looking at these balls on the stalks, like I said, you're going to get your jeweler's loupe. You're going to go to the buds, not the leaves. Look at the buds of the plant and check out them trichomes. When you zoom in close, you're going to know exactly what we're talking about. It just look like little mushrooms with a round ball at the top, a stalk with a little round ball. You're looking at those round balls on the top of the stalk, and when the plant's growing, through the majority of the flowering process, they're going to grow clear, and this means that the plant is not ready. Right, these are immature trichomes, and if you harvest too soon, when there's too many of these clear trichomes, you're going to get a a high that it doesn't express the high that's supposed to happen from the specific strain that you do have. You can get paranoia and anxiety from getting these trichomes harvested too soon when it's still clear. But as the plant approaches the end of the flowering cycle, sorry, that wasn't a dog sneaking in. It's the wind.
Oh.
Yeah, so as
The
the plant
goat?
approaches the end of the flowering cycle, it will start to, the trichomes, then balls at the top of the trichomes at least, will start to go a little bit more cloudy, a bit more milky, so they won't be see-through anymore. And the plant can look a little bit more frosty, because collectively, over all those trichomes, as they turn cloudy, it's just going to look a little bit more frosty. But when you look closer at them, then you can really see the milkiness in the top of that trichome. And this is a good stage to harvest. But you want to go just a little bit more than that, because after a while, the trichomes are going to turn amber, maybe brown, maybe purple. Sometimes they turn purple. But when they start to go orange and amber kind of color, this is them degrading. They're degrading from THC into a cannabinoid known as CBN, which is more of a sleepy kind of cannabinoid. The more of that has, more orange it has, the more couch-like effect it's called, more sedative. That's what the high is going to be if it has more of those amber trichomes. So you don't want too many of those ambers, because that's degradation of the THC. But usually, on average, people would be aiming for 90% milky trichomes with about 10% amber trichomes. That's what you want to try and aim for. And you wait for that 10 to 20% at the most with those ambers, because then that makes sure that there's less chance of there being clear trichomes. So you're just going to get a nice solid high if you wait until those trichomes are at those colors. That's what I've found over the years. So yeah, bear that in mind when you're looking at the trichomes. Look for around 10% of amber, and then you know the plant is probably going to be ready. You're going to have these breeders guidelines as well. You know, you get your strain from, let's say, a Jack Herer from Seedsman, and it'll be like, this is a 10-week flowering strain. That's just a guideline. It could take fucking 9, it could take 12. It depends on a lot of different factors. So you really have to get in there and have a look at those trichomes, and then try and decide at which point you want to harvest it at. But you just want to make sure at least that the trichomes are milky. Don't harvest it when it's clear. I think that covers up the more. Anything to add to that, Brian? Is that cool? Anything to add to that one?
That was very well said, actually. And if you're growing this for profit and you're not growing it as a medicine, when you were talking about letting it go a little bit longer, it degrades a little bit. That's a trick that a lot of people have used in the days to make their cannabis just a little bit more of a couch lock, because secretly that's what a lot of people want. And so that's something to think about when you're growing cannabis now. As a educated farmer, you need to start thinking about, how do these different cannabinoids affect my customer? And sometimes maybe you let certain parts of the garden go a little bit longer, and see how the customers react.
Yeah, man. So let's say then you've had a look at your plants, and there is loads of other ways to decide whether it's ready for harvest as well. But this is going to come with experience. After 5, 6, 7 grows, you're going to try and you start understanding that the plant starts to go into this thing called senescence, and it just looks like it's dying off a bit. You know, even if you're not flushing, the plant will go yellow. It will start looking like autumn, fall colors, a little bit red, a little bit brown on the leaves. You know, it starts to die off a little bit. You'll notice that the smell changes a little bit. And the pistils change, the trichomes change. There's loads of different things to take into consideration. You start to see these things with more experience. But as new growers who are growing for the first time, maybe the second time, then just try and do that thing with the trichomes, because that's going to be the best guideline of everything, just to make sure about those trichomes. Again, on the buds as well, don't look on the leaves, don't look on the lower down buds, look at those buds at the top of the plant, and collectively around the middle as well, and just try and come up with some kind of average of how many trichomes are clear, how many are milky, how many are amber, and just try and come up with the best conclusion possible. But aim for as many milky trichomes as possible. You don't want too many clear, you don't want too many amber, unless you really want to go for that couch lock effect. And then just don't go any more than 20%. I would advise that, but it's up to you. It's your weed, But that comes with experience. So just check on those trichomes for there. But let's say that you've checked the plant and it looks good. It looks 90% milky, 10% amber, ready for harvest. What should you do to prepare for the harvest at this point? You got something to say on this one, Margaret?
Yeah, so to prepare for your harvest, you can, if you choose, if you're going to flush, you would do that like your 1 to 2 weeks prior to harvest. You have to plan
Mm.
that out.
And
And
just to
that's,
add there, sorry, Margaret, just to add there,
yeah.
if you are gonna flush the plant for a week or two, say you're growing it in cocoa, we discussed this last week with flushing. If you want more info on that, go check out the last episode. But you want to look for the plant when it's about 50% clear trichomes and 50% milky trichomes, and that's a good time to start your flush because over that week or two, the rest of the trichomes are gonna head into that milky and amber stage over a week or two, maybe 10 days. So it depends. Sorry, Margaret, you want to carry on?
Yeah, you're just stealing my thunder, Mackie. I mean, you
Sorry.
said I was going to refer to last week because it was last week that we talked about flushing at
Mhm.
length. So if you have questions about that, you can refer to that episode. But then this is when you also want to get your tools and your drying space ready, ensuring the environment, like the temperature and humidity, is set up for your drying and curing so that you're ready to go to head into trim jail after you harvest. And then you're going to want to also trim away your excess fan leaves just to make your harvesting easier.
What do you do when you harvest, Margaret? I mean, when you're preparing for harvest, do you have any specific tools you like to get ready beforehand?
Mm, well, this is the first time I'm growing in a tent, so
Mm.
like I make sure I have my tools at ready, like
Yeah.
my trimming scissors and stuff like that. I'll have those ready, but and jars, I like to make sure I have like lots of clean jars ready to go as well, so I can jar it after it's done
Yeah.
drying. I
When
guess
it's
that's a
dry,
little
yeah.
early yet, but you want to make sure you have something to put it in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Billy? What's your process?
Because I sort of harvest one every 10 days, I sort of have to make sure that the tent's sort of like ready. The plant's in the position for me to cut it down easy enough, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So I sort of generally try to move them around on a rotation thing so I can sort of just step out with the plant quite easily. So I normally harvest one big branch at a time. And so I just make sure I've got enough space to do that type of thing. Clear my dry net first of all. So it's just to make sure I've got like the bags and all the equipment done. So it's like think of what do I need to do and what am I using to get from cutting the plant to where it's being dried and stashed, if you know what I mean. So I
Hmm.
just sort of go for, and because I do it so much now, because it's not like once every 3 months. It's like literally every 10 days. I have like a little drawer where I've got all my stuff sorted now and places
Nice.
so it's like I've got it in
Prior planning
order.
and preparation prevent piss poor performance and all of
Yes,
that.
basically, yeah, it is. And sometimes you might forget something, but you have contingencies ready, if you know what I mean, because you
Hmm.
forgot it before, so you know what you've done beforehand. So it's just a
Yeah.
case of it's making sure you got the final space where it's hanging up and going ready, because that the last thing you need is to be sitting in a bag for 48 hours or something
Yeah.
because you haven't done it. If you know what I mean. So
Hmm.
that's really the I would say the main thing, making sure I got the space in my nets,
Yeah. What's your
clearing
plan
that.
there, Brian? What about you when you come to harvest? What do you get ready? What kind of things are you doing before you chop plant?
Yeah, I would. So the goal is to get it done in 72 hours. We turn the lights off, usually if it's a tent or a basement, and then try to work in a different area. And in that 72 hours,
So
we're
you're
letting we're
giving the
letting.
plant 72 hours darkness before you harvest.
Well, we're working on it
Mm.
because we've always tried to be realistic with it. So yes, some of the plants that are in the back that we're going to get to last will actually have that full 3 days. But
Right.
some of the plants that we're having, like the night before or whatever, the lights would be off so that we can get a good start in that morning. So
Mm.
we'd start kind of working from the outside in, closing things up when we're not, so that everything's nice and dark in there. And then we just like to basically we're chucking everything at first. We're taking all the fan leaves off, kind of inspecting everything. You want to make sure that you're kind of going over it with a trained eye for bugs, any kind of potential
Rot,
problems,
mold.
rot,
Yeah.
especially if you're growing medicine for somebody and they're giving you money. One of the worst feelings, and I've personally done this, is to give somebody bud rot without realizing it.
Oof.
Because then
Mm,
they think you are incompetent and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
also think that you're on it. So that's what I mean by it needs to be taken down in this time frame, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be rushed. So these are skill sets that you want to build up to. But that's why in the early days, 6 plants is kind of a lot. When you first hear that, oh, I want to grow 99 plants. Like,
Of
well,
course.
you're going to fail, right?
Yeah.
In hindsight, all of us know that's silly. But when you're first into this and you don't have a mentor or anything, it's like not having a big brother or somebody to look up to. You're going to make a bunch of mistakes early on in your cannabis career. So with all of this growing, the focus is usually, and again, it depends. There's so many variables that this just say numbers, but 60 degrees, like relative humidity, with 60 degrees temperature, kind of just chilling and letting those dry out naturally, so that when I go in there and I break kind of the maybe thinner cannabis stalk, if that snaps pretty easily, that's when I know, okay, now it's I heard Margaret say trim jail. Okay, now we're in trim jail. So that might actually take longer than 3 days, but we got to get everything broken down in those 3 days, and then we're back to a perpetual growth. So there's a lot of days in those flips that matter so much, or you're not going to get the extra flip that you need, 4 to 5 flips a year, when you kind of dick around basically and not get enough things done properly so that you can get back going.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? I feel like I'm really high today, and I'm trying. I'm trying to
You're
like.
fine, bro. You're doing fine. Great
Fucking
info.
good,
Great
man.
information. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
All right, good.
And you're supposed to be high as well. Don't worry about it. You know.
Yeah,
That's
but
how you
I'm
roll.
really lit today. That's why my wife was probably looking at me.
Why are your eyes so red? You've been crying. You know?
I've been hanging out with Macky.
Hey, don't blame me. Fuck. Jesus.
Oh yeah, man.
But,
I'm definitely blaming you.
And we're going to go into more detail next week as well about the specific drying period, and, you know, how to prepare your dry space and things like that. But for me, when I come to harvest, and Brian mentioned something important there, is the dark period. You don't want to chop the plant down in the middle of its daytime, you know, when the lights are on. The best thing to do is at least chop it down before the lights come on. And what I like to do is when I know that it's harvest day, then I'll turn the lights off at the wall and just, you know, because my lights come on at 9 o'clock in the morning usually, because it runs, it turns off at 9 o'clock. Just come on. Fucking hell, how does it work? But I don't want the lights to come on, right? So I'll make sure that it's turned off, and then I'm going to harvest at my own time. I'm not in any rush to be like, oh, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is when my lights come on. I have to, you know, get everything taken out of the tent before then. So just to make sure I'm not rushed by that, I'll turn the lights off. And some people like to give 24 hours darkness before they harvest. Some people like to do 48, some 72. But the predominant consensus is it's better to harvest at the plant's nighttime, because allegedly, and I'm not a plant scientist or shit, so I don't know how accurate this information is, but it's just stuff that I've learned throughout the years. But the starches and the sugars that are in the plant, the chlorophyll and shit like that, is going to be throughout the leaves, and when it's getting light, these chlorophylls and starches, they are going to be all the way through the plant matter, all over the plant. And then when the nighttime happens, all of this stuff starts to move itself into the root zone. So it's not so much in the plant matter anymore, it's in the root zone. So if you can harvest the plant when it's dark, those starches and sugars are going to be more in the root zone. There'll still be some in the plant, of course, but there's going to be less because it's in the root zone rather than in the plant matter itself. So then when you chop it, there's going to be less chlorophyll and these sugars and starches, so it's going to be less harsh in the long run. Just these small things make a difference to the end result. So I like to harvest in the dark, not as dark as you can't see, because you don't want to chop your hand off or anything like that. But you know, dark enough so the metabolism of the plant isn't kicking off. You know, so I'd leave it in the dark for at least its dark period, maybe a few hours longer than that. I won't push it too far because I'm scared of mold at the same time. So then I'll just go in there and I'll harvest the whole plant. I'll chop the whole plant from the base on the main stem. I won't be taking off the small branches one at a time and shit like that, because I just feel as if there's too much light getting to the plant at that point. I want to get it down, hang it upside down as a whole, and then take the branches off once it's removed from the root zone. That's how I roll. Chopping it is a bit of a pain in the ass. You need like a sharp saw, a hacksaw. No, what's them little saws called? Hand saw? It's not a hacksaw. You know, the one with
handsaw. Yeah.
It's something decent, you know, but it's going to take it down pretty quickly, because if you've grown a big fucking stem on it, it can be a little bit difficult to chop down. I've been there with meat cleavers before, just chopping it like a little axe, and that took fucking ages. You know, it's just loads of different ways I've tried it. Best way to do it is just with a little saw. That's the best way. Get it straight down and hang it upside down, and then you're gonna start with your trimming and shit. That's how I do my harvesting. But it's a fucking mission. I like to prepare, get all my scissors ready. I don't have a lot of scissors. I've used the same pair of scissors I've used for about 6 harvests now. Have some spare, because as you're trimming, depending on how the plant is, some strains are different than others. But when you're trimming, those trichomes from the leaves and stuff are going to get on the scissors, and it just makes it more difficult to snip. There's good scissors you can get with springs on, so they spring open themselves, so you got a little bit of assistance with it. It makes it easier, because it's going to be a long one. You have to prepare for a long one, everybody. So any kind of scissors you can get like that. You can get the little sewing scissors that open and close, but they're better for the finer details on the tip leaves. So we'll discuss more of that next week. But it's going to be a mission. You need to prepare yourself for that whole harvesting process, man. So I would recommend roll all your joints. Find something good to listen to. I mean, you can put something on to watch if you want, but your eyes are going to be preoccupied with the trimming. So find some good podcasts. Maybe some interviews from High and Homegrown. We got loads of interviews out there. Just go line up some of those and listen to those, man. And you can listen to a podcast and trim. Just make sure that you prepare yourself for a long time. Make sure you got your day off work. Maybe 2 days if you're harvesting a lot, because it's going to take a while. The longest it's taken me, 4 plants. I had 4 big butter blue cheese plants. Fed a little bit too nitrogen throughout the grow because it was still quite early on. So there was a lot of leaf on these motherfuckers, man. And it took me 16 hours to harvest these bitches on my own. Just sitting there, chop, 16 hours. And ever since, I hate trimming. I got PTSD and shit. But that's how I roll with when I'm preparing for trimming. I like to, the more you can get ready beforehand, the better, because it's just going to make the whole process easier. Make sure your joints are rolled, because your fingers are going to be sticky. If you can get some gloves to put on your hands as well while you're doing the trimming, to just make sure you don't get your fingers all sticky and shit like that, and you can save up trichomes. Do that as well. Yeah, but again, we'll go into more detail about that kind of stuff next week. But what are you saying, Billy? Do you harvest all the buds at the same time? Do you take little bits off?
Yeah, I normally harvest the whole plant, just because where I perpetually grow, it makes it easier.
Right, same thing as me, just main stem, chop it and then hang it, yeah?
No, I chop each stem,
Right.
and then I'll probably cut that stem into sort of like bits, but only like into thirds. So like, just so it's separated, like most of the buds. So the big buds are not with all the small buds. Just where I put it on a net to dry, and then I'll just dry it like that. But all the smaller buds get turned into hash, so it's just easy for me to do that. And I'm doing 1 plant at a time, so it's not much of a hassle really. Mm-hmm. It's only about 4 to 6 ounces of weed at a time, so it's quite easy.
Yeah. What about you, Margaret? Because you had your outdoor plant recently. How did you harvest that? Was it just one straight cut for the main stem, or were you taking individual branches off at a time?
No, it wasn't that big, so I just did the whole thing at once.
Nice.
And I hung it up outside, like from a tree, to take all the families off.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
And then I had like an outbuilding. I hung it outside, like not outside, it was in a barn basically, and dried it out there.
Yeah. So how did you tell that your plant was ready for harvest when it's growing outdoors as well? The same thing? Did you check trichomes?
Oh yeah, I did. But it was also like I got into the ground pretty late, so I knew my season was ending, just because we were gonna get some frost and stuff. So it was kind of like I kind of had to take it down at that point. It actually hasn't been super cold yet. I probably could have left it for longer, but it was, I think, pretty good into October when I took it down. So, but it was ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Brian, I mentioned earlier as well about the whole dark period before chopping the plant down. Do you have anything to say about like the time of day affecting the harvesting and things like that? What do you think about the whole light cycle before chopping the plant down?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when it's time to harvest, it definitely needs to be played out like a chessboard. I mean, certain moves need to be done. I think the dark cycle could be done up to 72 hours. I want to try to clarify everything I was saying before. I like to cut. I'm breaking 1 plant down at a time when I'm a home grower, or it's 1 plant down per employee. You're shucking all the fan leaves off, and then you're letting them hang in another grow room.
Right. Because you don't want the other plants to see that you've killed the sisters just hanging up there like, oh my God.
Well, and I guess from like a metaphysical standpoint, that is making sense too. And from what I've heard as well, that dark period really helps with the plant kind of basically eating itself, like breaking down all of the carbohydrates that it has on there. So when you shuck all those fan leaves off, it just kind of gives that extra little boost to the trichomes. I know people that are way smarter than me that would argue with some of those details. So with this stuff, I think the average home grower can learn about something called BRIX, BRIX. And if you start to understand that, use the refractometer. I've never seen anybody with a low BRIX number that had really good cannabis. So it's a good marker. It's usually done with like grapes and wine and that kind of stuff. But it's a fantastic way to know if you're when you're running those through, you're taking your BRIX levels before and after.
All right. So what's BRICS? You want to go into more detail on what BRICS is?
Yeah, it's just kind of like it's a scale, like a sugar scale. There's ones that you could kind of use as a manual, and then there's digital ones. I always just paid for the digital one, and the goal was always to get it as I can't really remember the number if it was 20. There's bricks, so there's like a certain level of sugar that should be in grapes, for example.
Right.
And so really high-end grapes that you would find at high-end stores that people like because it has all of that content, usually those are also nutrient dense. And so those will have very high BRICS levels. This equates over to cannabis as well, especially if you want to go more down the microbial route, because it's a lot easier to achieve those BRICS levels. In my opinion, the reason why all the badass growers in the early days that were using synthetics and had their formulas somehow also created higher BRICS levels. And that's why their shit was always better than everybody else's, because they were figuring out whether they knew it or not, kind of like a citizen scientist. Okay. But if you're brand new to this, BRICS levels equates to high end, and then you pick the crop. So if you want to grow tomatoes, you don't give a shit about cannabis. Tomatoes are pretty close to cannabis in the way that they grow. So even if you want to mess up on tomato plants to while your things are growing out and then eventually move on to cannabis, that's what a lot of people do. And so you can start to test your BRICS levels with your tomatoes, and you can see that genetics really do matter, even in the tomato world. So obviously it matters in the cannabis space. And then from that point on, when you're getting all of that diversity and compost and life, that's where you're basically feeding that plant 24 hours, 7 days a week, and that's why Mother Nature rarely has deficiencies.
Okay.
So you're trying to emulate that and see that from a scientific side of things, and that is called BRICS levels.
And there's something else which came up while you were saying that as well. I was thinking about like the moisture content inside the plant. Do any of you guys give the plant drought a few days before harvesting or anything like that? What about you? What about you, Brian? Do you stop watering the plant a couple of days before harvest, let the medium dry out or anything like that?
Well, no, because my style, again, is living soil. So my goal is to reuse everything. So I'm okay with chopping it and letting the roots stay there, because then when I replant, those new cannabis roots are going to tap into the previous cannabis plant's roots. If I'm growing hydroponically, then yes. That's what I mean. There's so many different lanes to this that when we're answering these questions, it's very hard to say, because it's like yes but, and there's all these different variables. So the caveat to this is learn what your environment is. You obviously know what style and what lane you want to be in, and then kind of learn from that point on. Don't try to understand BRICS levels if you're growing synthetically and you're brand new to this, because you're not going to grow high-end BRICS levels.
That's right. Keep it simple. We like to say there's many ways to go swimming with a cat. That's what we like to say. Yeah. What about you, Billy? Because you're in living soil too. Do you do any kind of drought or anything before harvest, or do you just chop when it's ready?
No, I just chop when it's ready. I sort of know it's because I keep looking at the trichome to see when it's ready. I sort of know that this is probably going to be the last time it needs a watering to keep it alive, if you know what I mean. And then it gets chopped, and then the soil gets recycled. So it goes through a watering stage while it's not got a plant on it. So
I grow in cocoa, so I just don't water it the day before. That's all. I don't like give it a drought for too long. But what about you, Margaret? What do you think?
Yeah, I haven't really messed around with that too much, because when I was, I just haven't.
Yeah, keep it simple, innit? Keep it simple.
Yeah. Maybe I should be.
Right, so when we come to the point, because by now, let's just quickly recover everything which we've said so far. So you've checked the plant. You've seen that the trichomes, you got your jeweler's loupe or your USB microscope or something like that, and you've taken a good close look at the trichomes on the buds, and you can see that it's 90% milky, 10% amber, and it's time for harvest time. So then at that point, you want to turn your lights off and make sure that you can give up to 24 hours of darkness is cool, something like that. And in that time, you want to prepare your drying space. Make sure your drying space is ready, your equipment's ready for the trimming and all that shit. You don't water the plants after that, and you're going to chop it down at the base, or take different pieces off. Just make sure it's done in the dark, whichever way is easiest for you. But how are you handling the plants? Are you putting gloves on? Are you taking extra precautions like that to make sure things stay clean? What do you do there, Margaret? Or do you just chop the plant down? What's the whole process there? Like, how do you handle the plants after cutting it?
Pretty carefully. I do tend to wear gloves actually, because I am one of those people that is allergic to cannabis, lucky me.
Okay.
So I sometimes too, depending if I'm like harvesting a few plants, sometimes I'll even have to wear like a face mask or whatever.
Right.
But if it's just a couple, it's usually not that bad. So, you just kind of want to be careful that you're not handling the buds too roughly, because you don't want to knock off those precious trichomes if you can avoid it. So,
I like to
uh,
think, it's like when you bruise an apple or a piece of
mhm,
fruit or something like that. If you knock it too hard, it gets bruised, and then that bruise will get moldy and all that shit. That I like to be very careful after the plant's been harvested there to make sure you don't bang it off anything. He's not leaning against anything or shit like that, just to try and prevent the chances of the buds getting damaged and mold growing. So I'm very careful after it's been chopped down. I just chop it at the base, as I say, and just hang it upside down. And
mhm.
from there, I'll take individual branches off, trim them, and that's how I roll with mine. What about you, Billy? What are you doing with yours? How are you handling your plant after it's chopped?
With gloves and a bit gently,
Okay.
basically, yeah. And then just gently place down on the net, and then just let it dry. They get turned once gently,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Okay.
that's it. So
What
yeah,
about
and
you,
then
Brian?
put
You
in
using gloves as
bags.
well? So you go into well, we discussed the drying part next week, Billy. So keep that in mind for next week. Brian, you using gloves as well?
Absolutely. I would be
Mm.
using probably if I'm trimming all day, I'm probably changing gloves every hour or so. And that part of that is also, you get the little scissor hash and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
yay, little treats and stuff. But I would also say what the biggest way to mess up stuff at the end is to be so excited and then have a bunch of people come over and trim. And especially if those people also grow, because that's usually where people get a lot of pest issues is during the trimming process. And then they don't notice it until they go into flower on the
Right.
next flip. So again, cannabis farming, especially if you're growing it as medicine, these are chess moves. These are for people that will sit down and kind of write out a plan. If you're more just kind of like a reactive person, you would go down to your grow and wonder why things are happening. Then I would encourage you to find another hobby, because there is so much work behind the scenes to grow cannabis that if the average person knew that, I don't think that lust and lure would be there. It's a grueling process to grow cannabis, and the only time it seems to be fun is when you're growing it for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when you're homegrown, it's a lot more fun. But that whole trimming process, which we'll be covering in the next couple of weeks, that's where it gets grueling for me. That's where it just they call it trim jail for a reason, man. This shit is torture
Mhm.
sometimes. Trim jail is bad. It's gonna be fun on your first harvest, first couple of grows when you come to harvest. You're gonna be so excited. Just take your time. Make sure you're being very careful with the plants. Make sure you're harvesting at the right time, like we said. And it's gonna be fun. But the more experience you get, the more it becomes more of a chore. And the longer it goes on for as well, it's like you start off being very meticulous. You're taking the big leaves off, trimming it up all nice and neat, but then after you've been there for 10 hours, you're not so careful with those scissors. You just fucking chop, 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 getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Bit Edward Scissorhands.
yeah. Yeah. But gosh, it's a mission. It is very much a mission. So, what kind of mistakes can people potentially make so we can try and help people avoid making any? What kind of mistakes could potentially be made?
I would say handling your buds too roughly for one. I mean, everybody here just said that they wear gloves and they handle their stuff pretty carefully, so
Hmm.
that would be one. Drying them too quickly as well, because that's going to affect everything.
Yeah,
So, as
definitely.
long as you're handling them properly, carefully, and then not rushing the dry process, you're going to have some nice weed.
Yes. Man, it just takes so long. And preparing, like I said earlier to Billy, you know, prior planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance, which is like the 7 Ps or something. And, you know, it applies to this as well. When you know that your plant's ready for harvest, you know, you've checked those trichomes, the pistils are looking good, it smells great, it's looking like this plant is approaching the end of its life and it's ready to be harvested. It's at peak production, you know, it's time to come down. Yeah, and once you get to that stage, you just plan what you're going to do to move on to the drying process, and make sure you got your space ready for when the drying is going to take place. Make sure you got the equipment ready so you can have you know, chop the plants down quickly, move them into a certain location where the trimming can start to happen. You know, make sure you're ready there. You know, make sure you've got something to watch or something to listen to. Make sure your joints are rolled. You know, if you're going to be taking a long time, make sure you got food that's ready. You know, make some sandwiches or something, like a packed lunch, you know, because you might have to take a break, maybe have some sugary snacks on the side. You know, it's just all these little things that you can prepare will make the whole harvesting process easier. So just be ready for that. It's going to take longer than you expect, you can guarantee. So make sure you got the day off work. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to be leaving the house, especially if you're in a place where you're, you know, where growing cannabis is prohibited. If you leave the house, you're gonna smell so bad. It's going to be very pungent, and everybody's going to notice it. So you can't nip up to the local Tesco to get yourself a bottle of iced tea. You know, don't think about doing any of that.
That's the best part of being a grower, man, is eating in this fancy steakhouse reeking. Smelling like
yeah,
Pepe
man,
Le
that's
Pew.
what I like the most, man. That's the best part, exactly. That's why I smoke just before I go into shops, just to rub it in.
You're like, fuck y'all. But damn, yeah, I've been out the house stinking sometimes. You've got to be very careful. What do you think, Billy? Any mistakes that could potentially happen while you're harvesting?
Yeah, accidentally rubbing your eye.
Oh, God, yeah, good one. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's torture,
man.
isn't it? Damn.
That's death. That's eye death, that is.
Yeah, damn, that stings. Gosh.
Yeah. Proper.
Yeah, man.
And if you haven't done it, then I don't advise you do it just to see what it's like, because you really don't want to do that. But hey, go on, I dare you.
Up to you.
If you're hard
don't
enough.
dare people, Billy. They're gonna do it now.
Yeah.
They're have people jabbing themselves in their eye and leaving
on the chili scale. Do you know, like how much of a that's it. Yeah, that's it. How many Scovilles can you take?
What do you think there, Brian? Is there any potential mistakes that people should look out for when they're harvesting?
Yeah, again, you're gonna really make sure that you're keeping an eye on humidity. I've seen so many people that had a good looking harvest put their cannabis, almost overstuff it in glass jars right away, and then a day or two goes by, you come back and check them. Hey, how's everything going? And it smells like hay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the art of cannabis is after you chop it down, and I think a lot of newbies don't realize that. They start to think about the money that they're going to get. That's dropping the ball before you cross the touchdown line. There's a lot of people that make mistakes doing that. I've seen it time and time again. So when you're growing cannabis, especially if you're newer to it, if you're in veg, be studying flower. If you're in flower, be studying how to break this down and turn it into something that's valuable. And that's where most people make mistakes, is after chopping it down, it starts to smell like hay, and nobody wants to pay for cannabis that smells like hay.
This shit takes time, man.
Yeah, good cannabis takes time.
A mistake during a harvest. Just make sure you're doing it at the right time. I think that's the most important thing, man. Don't harvest this shit too early. Don't harvest it too late. Look out for the trichome production there. You want to be looking 90% milky, 10% amber. That is a good place to chop. You can let it go a little bit more amber than that, but you want to try and have as few as possible clear trichomes on it. So have a good check with that. But there's other things to take notice of. Remember, look at the pistils, making sure they're turning orange. You want to be noticing the smell. There'll be particular times, like some days you're just going to notice that it's so much more pungent than others, and then it'll fade off, and there's like windows to it. So you want to try and catch it on one of those windows where it's really pungent as well. So you just keep an eye out for those kind of things. Remember to leave it in darkness for 24 hours is cool. You know, don't water it for the day before, and that would have you just about ready for harvest then. chop it down, hang it up, and begin the trim. And I think we'll talk about trimming and drying next week. I think we'll discuss all of that then. So you've harvested the plant, it's ready to go. Now you're gonna trim it all and leave it to dry, and we'll discuss dry trimming and wet trimming as well next week. But that's about everything for harvesting, I think. Is there anything to add, Margaret? Do you have anything to add about the whole harvesting process? When to, knowing when to harvest it and things like that? Anything to add? No? Is she on mute?
A nice big silence there. Does she know she's on mute?
Did she sneak off? No, she's still here, I think.
No, I was here talking to myself.
Oh, cool.
Yay.
I had some real gems there too, and I forget it all.
Damn.
I was just saying to myself just now that a lot of this stuff just comes with experience. It's like really like so many people, and I know I'll be that person when I harvest in a few months after my next grow, but I'll be like, is it ready? Is it not ready? But the more you do it, obviously, the easier it gets to tell.
I don't even use a trichoscope anymore. I know when the plants are ready, by the smell, by the look of them. It comes with experience. That's because I've been growing for like 15 years or something. It's been a long time, produced many plants, so you kind of just know when the plant's ready. It gets to that point. But for new growers, it's good to just check that shit out.
And that's why, like, I remember Swami saying that you just kind of ask the plant and she'll tell you when she's ready. So that also comes with a lifetime of growing experience. So it'll come.
What are you saying, Billy? Anything to add here?
No, I think we've covered everything I can think of right now.
That's right.
Must be all that hash I've been smoking.
Yeah, man. Anything to add then, Brian? We done here with harvesting?
I've never seen anybody that grows cannabis that is a breeder or someone that is growing cannabis where people really want their cannabis that says their secret to success is that they wet trim.
Yeah, that whole dry trimming is it seems to do well, doesn't it? If you can just leave the plant to dry for a long period of time, dry trim, then it seems to be a good way to go. We'll discuss that next week. That's going to be a interesting part of the conversation there. Wet trim versus dry trim. Yes. So I think that's everything. We should move on to some listener mail questions. Are we ready for those?
Hell yeah.
Cool. Let's get on that. We have from Savans, and we got one from Foamy Bowls after this as well. God damn, get ready for that one. But from Savans, we have, I'm not looking to upgrade, but a good question nonetheless for the community. Putting aside any brand bias, is money better spent setting up a CO2, correctly sealed environment, CO2 alarms for safety, etc., and the ongoing operation cost of CO2, or the newer LEDs that can be turned to the other spectrums like HPS? So he's essentially asking, where's the best place to put your money? Is it going to be better to buy a CO2 setup, of course, with the proper sealed room and things like that, or should you just invest more money in a real good LED light? And for me, I would say, as a home grower, don't even bother with the whole CO2 thing. I would say invest all the money you can on a good, high quality LED. That's what I would go for. What would you say, Billy?
LED all the way, LED.
And Margaret?
Sure.
Short, sharp, and to the point.
I don't know enough to answer that question. I don't know.
What do you think, Brian? What would you say about this? Would you invest in a CO2 or high quality LED?
LED all the way. I would also put a caveat that I would invest in an American made LED all the way. And to be fair, CO2 is the cherry on top. CO2 is something that you focus on when you're so bored with your grow and your pockets are so fat that you want to now mess it up and go around and probably tinker with it too much and cause some issues and get some pest issues. CO2 is not needed for a home grower. CO2 is extremely wasted even in a commercial setting. So just being in there with your plants and breathing is better than spending all the money on that stuff, and hauling it back and forth as well is kind of ridiculous.
So when you get these high quality LEDs as well, and you can adjust the spectrum and things like that, it's like the plant's getting so much light, it's getting more light than it needs, and then in those aspects, then if you wanted to, if you experienced enough, and like Brian said, if if you've done all the other things, and you've got the medium down, you've got the watering down, you've got everything down, everything's perfect with your grow, everything's going so well, then you can add the CO2 if you got these beast lights as well. If everything's down, add the CO2 if you wanted to, but you'd need the sealed room. There's so many things you have to set up, man. It's an absolute mission. And for a home grower, for the small amount it's going to add to the yield of the grow itself, then it's probably just not worth it. It's more of a commercial thing. So just stick with getting those high quality LEDs, man. They make a big difference, having the good shit. And like Brian said as well, American made. If you can get those HLGs, that they are dog's bollocks, man, with the proper diodes, proper efficient, that's what you want to get. Invest money on the best light you can possibly get, because that's going to be one of the most important factors for the plant. Right, now fill me bowls on. Are you ready for this? This one is let's just get into it. Prepare yourselves. Filmy Bowls asks, the biggest problem with stoners is that we forget. My question is, why and where does that thought go when we do forget? And why do I believe walking down the aisle at a big box store, it will make me remember? This never works. And why do I remember as soon as I pull up back home? Is it just me, or does that happen to most of us? Let me know in the chat. And no, it's not pre-stage Alzheimer's. Damn. It's just that whole part where he says, where does the thought go? It's like, damn, I never even thought about that before. It's like you've got the thought, so you got it in your head, you know what you want, you know what you got to get, and then it's gone. Where's it gone?
It just goes into the ether. That's what the
Your
Buddhists
memory
talk about all the
cache,
time.
it?
It
Got
just
short-term and long-term memory cache.
Thoughts go.
It's like pressing Control and H on your brain and doing like clearing the temporary history file, like the last log for the last hour.
Yeah. I don't know, that just gets me. Where does the thought go? I don't know, it's lost in the wilderness of the chaos that is your mind.
It's all just passing phenomena.
Mm.
Then how do you remember anything if it's lost in the chaos of your mind? Because the chaos of my mind's quite a lot of chaos. So how do I fucking find anything?
Yeah, what do you think, Brian? Where do thoughts go when you've forgotten them?
I'm not really sure. I've known like when I've gotten into yoga and stuff, it's definitely felt like you could think about something for a while, then let it go, and then whatever reason kind of go back down that path as the weeks went by. So your body's definitely tied to thoughts and memories. I think that some of us just don't have the tolerance that we think we do, and we forget. I'm talking about myself here. I forget where I put my keys, or shit, I forgot my wallet and all that. So I think that just comes with being a stoner. Is if that's the worst part about it, I think is that your significant other would probably laugh at you a couple times. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I don't forget where I put my keys because I always put them in the same fucking place. And then when somebody moves them, say the missus got to go to the car and get something, like, where the fuck is my keys?
Yes, put things back where they go.
Your wife, you guys don't drive each other's cars?
Oh no, only I drive in my household.
Oh wow!
Not everybody drives in the UK. It's not the same with the USA. It's like driving is just a thing, but you do because everything's so far away. But in the UK, it's not as many adults drive like in proportion as what the USA does for sure.
When I got stuck on the thought that Brian does yoga, I was just wondering, does he wear skin tight yoga pants?
To be fair, I said I did yoga. I was into to health and stuff a long time ago, but I need to get back into it. To be fair,
yeah.
Cool.
Fuck health,
Yeah, no shit. Cannabis is health.
But yeah,
you ever done a hot yoga class? I mean, you'll be having some thoughts running through your fucking head, boy.
I've heard that it's some good shit, but I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know if I should, but apparently it's good. But I've never done yoga. I've done shit.
It'd be good if you stood at the back of the class, I suppose.
I love sauna.
Oh, I love a sauna too.
God damn, good times. And why does it come back? I think it's just certain things would trigger your thought, trigger your memory to remember what it was. Like, oh yeah, fuck, I got to do that thing. Yeah, And that's why some people like
music seems to do that the best. Like a
Well, we're
song
bringing
with,
up old school memories. Yeah.
or you remember something you were trying to think about?
Man, what song did I listen? I listened to a Carpenter song the other day. Yesterday Once More. You know that one? Listen to that, and it's like those kind of songs hit different when you get older. You know what I mean? Where you can reminisce back to your childhood or when you were younger and how life was different, and you just didn't appreciate it in the same way as you appreciate it now. It was crazy to listen to that song because I've listened to the song many times before, and it just didn't hit you in the same way as it hit me when I listened to it most recently. Like, damn, man, damn. Was it Yesterday Once More? I think it was. But any Carpenter's tune is fucking awesome, in my opinion. The Carpenters were underestimated. You know what I mean? You all know the Carpenters, right? Karen Carpenter.
I'm familiar with.
Gosh,
But
gosh.
yeah.
Not. You sound like a diehard.
Was
Oh,
she
no, not
Jesus's
diehard,
granddaughter or something?
No, I just appreciate good quality music, man. And this cat grows in the chat. Said, "Are you in your 50s or 60s, Macky?" No, I'm just beyond my years, mate. That's all. I just appreciate good music, and the good music came back from then. Man, you gotta listen to the Karen Carpenter, fucking voice of an angel, man. Damn, check that shit out. But yes, good question there. Good question. Thank you very much there, Phil. I think that is everything for today.
I've got a quick question, actually. It's related to Black Friday in a way because everyone's buying shit, right? And obviously you've got like Amazon and Wish and that. And my question is really, what's probably the most stupid thing you could probably buy off the internet? And my answer to this at the minute is either a parachute or a wingsuit. To me, to buy, you don't want to be buying one of them off Amazon or Wish, do you? Really? Come on,
well,
hello.
not off Wish.
Knock, yeah,
whatever.
You
I
get
wouldn't
me.
be
Yeah,
buying one anyway. What the fuck are you buying a parachute or a wingsuit? You get dressed up in some funky things, you do, Billy.
Yeah. But come on, what would just be the most stupid thing you could buy? Then come on,
Oh god,
Macky.
What would be
There's
the
so
most
many,
stupid
so
thing
many
I could
stupid
buy?
things you could buy.
Yeah, I don't really buy stupid things. I'm not rich enough to be able to just buy stupid things. I'm very cautious about what I could buy. I don't even know how to answer that question. What would the most stupid thing to buy? Something I wouldn't use. So, I
But
don't know,
why would you buy it then?
shorts. A pair of shorts because it's winter time. Why
But
the
why
fuck
would you
I-
buy it?
Yeah, that's it. Why would you just buy a stupid thing?
Why would you buy shorts if you think it's stupid?
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you guys do Black Friday over there?
Black Friday happens over here. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Mhm.
Somebody in
Well,
the
you could
chat
at least
asked, like, what
could at
Black
least come
Friday
up with
is.
like an inflatable submarine or something like that. That'd just be stupid to
No,
buy, wouldn't
you
it?
got to be a
Hey?
billionaire to do that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Beware the aliens and all of that.
That's right. You get shut down in the fucking water and shit. Goddamn. Yeah, I heard somebody refer to Black Friday as Black Week. Just today, I was watching somebody. It's Black Week this week, so it's like it's not even just Friday anymore. It's the whole fucking week. Oh goddamn.
Oh yeah, it's like sometimes it's almost like Black Friday month.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm looking forward to the sales starting. I want to get a new grow tent. Well, what would you say, Margaret? What's some stupid thing you would buy?
I don't know, because like you said, it's not like I have money to just toss around on stupid shit.
Buy stupid things. Not like you, Billy, you rich boy. Buying wingsuits and parachutes. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to think if I bought anything stupid, but no, I don't. I mean, I guess the question was, what is a stupid thing? Not necessarily what you buy, but
What is a stupid thing, like an inflatable submarine?
yeah, or a wings, because
or a wingsuit. Yeah, you don't really want to buy that. I don't want to be testing out the wingsuit just bought off Amazon. Open the stitching holds, like.
Yeah, like anything where like the health and safety is supremely important might not be something you want to buy from some random.
I got one. Trump merch. Like the 48th president, no 47th president. You know that because it might happen yet. We've still got time for Joe Biden to drop out and Kamala Harris becomes the first woman president for the next month or so, making her the 47th. And then Donald Trump has to redesign all of his merch to become the 48th president instead of 47th.
Well, also, if you wait, you may be able to purchase some of that Trump merch made in America, because I think right now it's all made in China.
Just saying. Just
saying.
Yeah, so maybe that would be my answer. I don't know. I'd hold off until he was actually the 47th. What do you think, Brian? What do you got anything to add there?
I'm a little confused. Is it the dumbest thing I've ever purchased, or the dumbest thing you think people purchase?
Yeah, something stupid that you could buy right now. No, not like anything stupid you bought in the past. It's like, what do you think a stupid thing to spend money is on right now? I think that's the question, right, Billy?
6.2 million on a banana with a duct tape. Crypto.
I know, right? What
Oh.
the fuck?
Is that like an
That's-
NFT or something?
No,
That's
it's
online,
a
right?
piece of
No,
meat.
it's a literal banana that I plastered or some shit. But it just sold to a crypto guy for, so that's internet, for 6.2 million.
Okay, yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty dumb.
Someone done a Cornish version with a pasty.
Damn.
Brilliant.
Some people really do have too much money, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really. And
100%.
buying art like that is just a money laundering scheme.
Well, that I've always heard that that's how very wealthy people launder money.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, oh, I
that's
will
how
buy
they-
that banana for 6 million.
That's how they buy children and shit like that, isn't it?
That's
Allegedly.
different. Allegedly, that's a different story altogether. And I think that is a good time to move on to the outro. Let's go.
No more flags here. Move along.
No more flags. No more flags. Here we go. Outro tune's playing. How do I turn it down again? Here it is. Yeah, DC submarine trip. That's another good one. Yeah, yeah. Ticket to go see the Titanic. You know, yeah, that would be another good one. Fuck that. God damn. Yeah, seafood buffet. That's always a bad idea. God damn. Well, yes, good show. Lots of good information put out there. Lots of cool news articles. Thanks to everybody for coming to join us, man. It's been a pleasure. And thanks, Brian, for coming to jump on the panel. We
Yeah.
appreciate it, man. Been a good
Yeah,
show.
thanks, Brian.
Yeah, I always have fun when I'm here. That's why I keep coming back. And I like that we all don't agree with stuff again. I like that because
What did we agree on?
no,
And
no,
he
I
got
just
wasted as well.
I
That's
mean
what
in
he likes the
general,
most.
like we have difference of opinions, and when we do, I've seen everyone, at least on this panel today, speak up about it, and I like that, you know, because I thought that was the whole point of a dialogue and discussion is to also talk with people that don't necessarily agree with everything that you say.
Yeah, man,
And
that's my
that's what I
favorite
love
kind of
about it.
conversation. I say that all the time.
Yeah,
My
I don't
favourite
think I agree with you
conversation
there,
is-
mate.
Yeah, fuck you, Billy.
Yeah.
But you know, it's always fun to talk with people who have a difference of opinion because that's how you really come to the truth. You know, yeah, you need to discuss these things with people that have a difference of opinion because they've got information from a different place or processed it differently. You know, and so have I. You know, I've got information that I have got from a different place, processed it differently. And when you communicate with people who do have a difference of opinion, then you can both collectively, hopefully, come up with an agreement and be better informed moving forward into the future. I like that shit. You know what I mean? Keep discussing everything, everybody. Everything. Nothing should be censored. Discuss it all. That's my opinion. But I know lots of people don't feel that way. You know, there's lots of echo chambers out there now. You seen this new Blue Sky app popping up? Have you seen that? You heard about it?
Yeah.
Blue Sky? Yeah. Like people leaving X to go to the other place, they're calling it this Blue Sky thing. And it's just got to end up as a fucking echo chamber, which is the worst place to be. You can't be in an echo chamber. You have to be places where you disagree with people, you know?
But they're doing a chronological timeline. The people have been asking for this for so long.
Yeah, but
Just gonna-
is it good though? Is it just a chronological
Oh,
timeline
I don't know. I
of
haven't-
shit? You know?
I haven't actually made an account because I'm getting a little social media fatigue these days. But
Oh yeah, yeah. It's after the big USA election. Everybody's feeling that fatigue, man. Everybody needs a break from it all, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's how
but
I
I
feel.
was curious when they said chronological timeline because I remember when they
Mm-mm.
took that away from Instagram. Outrageous.
Yeah, yeah. And they had threads a while ago. Remember they made up the whole threads thing. I didn't want to go over there either. And then there's Blue Sky.
Yeah, I didn't
It's
bother
just
either. I
it's
was
just
like,
another
more
fad,
bullshit.
man. It's another fad.
Yeah,
I
and
see
you
so
still
many
can't talk
different.
about cannabis over there.
I put that up on X. I was like, I see this new place, Blue Sky, but no matter where I go as a cannabis content creator, I'm going to be censored anyway. So I'm just going to fucking stay here.
Right.
Why else? Why go anywhere else? You know. But, I like X. I think I know a lot of people don't like X. It's a controversial platform apparently, but I do see a wide range of different opinions over it on there. And you know, there's so many times where I type a reply to something, I'm like, don't put that, just delete. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. You know. It
You
happens
mean
on
you
Facebook
remember you
most.
live in the UK? And
That's
you go,
right.
oh,
That's right.
yeah, hang on,
Like,
hang on.
Better not put that. Better not put that. Mm-mm. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Lots of social networks out there. Tell us what your favorite is in the comments. What's your favorite social network, everybody? But yeah, again, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again, Brian. Thanks, Margaret. Thanks, Billy. Been a damn good show. Damn good show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh no, pleasure, mate. Pleasure. Thanks for coming. Anything else to add? Should we wave at everybody and say goodbye? We all ready for that?
Yeah.
Anything to add there, Margaret?
No, I don't think so. Just follow me at bitemepodcast.com or your favorite podcasting platform.
Of course, nice. And where can everybody find you, Brian?
RubberDuckyIsopods.com, ShopTerrariumTribe.com. Appreciate everybody that has already been interested for Black Friday. For whatever reason, man, Americans love that shit. So thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well said. And we'll catch you on Tuesday. If you're a Patreon, Tuesday for a special interview with Margaret. It's going to be fun. Join us and learn about aliens. Yes, yes. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Ivan.
Ivan. It's got to say Monty Python. you